Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto is an average human in Highschool DxD Part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for Part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Damn it, you stupid alarm! Shouted a teenage boy around the age of 17, given his size and structure. The teen in question had shoulder-length spiky blonde hair, cerulean blue eyes, and 6 distinct whisker marks upon his face. 3 on each side. As the teen went into the closet, he managed to slip on an orange t-shirt with a black blazer over the top. The black blazer also had white accents that ran through it. Soon a pair of black pants joined the uniform, followed by white socks. Stupid alarm, stupid Mondays, stupid school, muttered the teen as he walked out of his small bedroom and into the bathroom across the hall. Looking at himself, the teen grabbed a toothbrush from a small holding cup and a tube of toothpaste, before opening the lid of the toothpaste and pushing some paste onto the toothbrush. Having a bit of water run on top of the toothbrush with paste, Naruto turned the tap off before he started to brush his teeth, making sure to straighten out some creases in his blazer with his free hand. Stupid blazer, stupid son, thought the man as he finished brushing his teeth. Grabbing a bottle of mouthwash, the man opened his mouth and placed some liquid in, before swishing the liquid through his mouth and spitting it out after a few moments. Soon, another liquid was in his mouth, tap water, and once again, the sound of swishing could be heard before a spit sound. Moving both hands onto the sink's ledges, the blond man gave out a sigh. Come on, Naruto, just another day, better get there early so that Issei won't get killed, muttered Naruto, once again giving a loud sigh as he left the bathroom and walked towards the front door and slipping on some black sports shoes and leaving, making sure to lock the door behind him as he left before he ran back inside to make himself lunch and grab his bag. 15 minutes later, we find the blonde-haired man running with a sandwich hanging out of his mouth and his bag slung over his right shoulder. Shit! 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 I've lived alone for the past 8 years and I still forget to make my own breakfast and lunch, shouted Naruto mentally, as he ran past multiple cafes and shops towards his school, Ko Academy. Running past the 2 massive gates, Naruto moved his head both left and right, noticing that no student was outside. He was so fucked. I know I wasn't taking over 40 minutes to make my lunch. Where the hell is everyone? Mentally cried Naruto comically, with tears falling down his blue eyes as he looked around before noticing the clock that was placed on the main building front. 7:45. Naruto stared blankly at the clock. His alarm went off early. Doing what any sane male would do after turning up to school early, he cried a little before going to one of the benches near the front of the school and placed his bag against the sidebar, before resting himself against the bench. Well, at least I got my phone still, thought Naruto as he felt the thing rummage around his right pocket. Moving his right hand towards his pocket, Naruto quickly slipped his hand in and grabbed his Samsung Galaxy 3 and turned it on. What happened next made him cry. 4% battery. Seeing this, Naruto looked towards the sky and moved his left hand up and pointed the finger. What have I done to you, asshole? Shouted Naruto, finger proudly standing as he pointed it up for the next few seconds, before moving his hand back down and giving a slight sigh. Ichiwai, Naruto! Shouted a voice towards the front of the gate. Turning his head slightly, Naruto got a sight of one of his original friends, Issei Haida. Issei had short brown hair and brown eyes. He also wore the Ko Academy blazer and white buttoned-up shirt, which he usually left open, showing his red shirt and matching pants. He also had white and blue sneakers. Getting up off his laying position, Naruto stood up and picked his bag up as he waved to his friend. Hey Issei! How's it going? Asked Naruto as Issei finally came to a stop right in front of him. It's amazing! Just this morning I got to see the lady who moved into Irina's house's big opal. You should have seen them. They had the firm round look and the bounced. Squealed Issei as he moved his hands into a groping position, causing Naruto to have a small twitch as he watched Issei squeeze the air in front of him. Naruto simply crossed his arms as he watched his friend continue with the air groping, before sighing slightly and smacking him over the head, causing Issei to have a small moment of depression as he lost the image of his and Naruto's neighbors. You see, when he was a kid, the government for some reason let a small 7-year-old own a house, with his billing be paid by the government until he was at an age where he could work. That kid was Naruto. So when he was 7, both he and Naruto had met at the park nearby and became friends. Seeing as they both had to go, it was a shock to the small 7-year-olds when they walked the entire distance back home in the same direction, before Naruto eventually stopped at the house that was 2 houses to his left. The house directly to his left was Irina's. Because of the close housing, Naruto and Issei became friends extremely fast, spending most of their time together at the park or at each other's houses. Soon after meeting each other, they met Irina at the same park. Both Naruto and Issei met and became friends. And while walking back home once again in the same direction, it had shocked the three that they had lived right next door to each other's houses, before Naruto made a comment about small world, causing the three to laugh. After that, the three were the best of friends until the age of 14 when Irina left with her family. It was quite sad, but the going away party was amazing and tear-worthy. "Yo! Issei!" shouted Naruto, clicking his fingers in front of the unresponsive face of Issei, until the brown-haired teen jerked his head back. "Oh, sorry about that," said Issei, scratching the back of his brown hair as he apologized, before his short, awkward smile turned into a perverted one. "So I was thinking the Kendo Club's new uniform comes in today. Wanna see them putting them on?" asked Issei, causing Naruto to shake his head slightly at his friend as his arms were still crossed. "Have you forgotten that they have kicked your ass so much times it's not even reported anymore to the office as it's a common occurrence? Or are you secretly a masochist who gets off from it?" asked Naruto, grin stretching as Issei went blank-faced for a moment, before he pointed a finger at Naruto. "Fuck you!" was Issei's comeback, causing Naruto to simply laugh and look at his watch. "Well, the class should be open by now, doubt anything would happen in the next few minutes. So coming with?" asked Naruto as he turned his body side-on towards Issei, who shook his head in a negative. "Nah, I'll wait for Matsuma and Motohama. I'll bet they will come with me to see the Kendo Club," said Issei, walking away from Naruto as he waited at the front of the gate, completely oblivious to the Kendo Club surrounding him in the bushes near the gate. Naruto simply grinned. "Okay then, be sure not to die when you try perv on the Kendo Club girls while changing," voiced out Naruto as he left the scene, already imagining the things that the Kendo Club would do to the titled perverted trio. 6 hours later. Thud. 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 "Naruto-san, could you please stop doing that?" Thud. Thud. "Naruto-san, one more time and I'm going to make you sit outside." All was quiet for the next few moments. Thud. "That's it!" screamed the teacher as he moved towards Naruto's seat, intent to throw the kid out. However, the class laughed slightly as Naruto grabbed the hem of his shirt and shorts. Turning his head towards the incoming teacher, Naruto simply spoke in a bored tone. "I know the drill already," said Naruto as he walked towards the front of the room and stood right in front of the door, before tugging on his shirt and shorts slightly and jumping forward through the door. The class laughed slightly at Naruto's behavior, before their slight giggles and laughs turned into full-blown laughs as they heard a teacher from outside the door. "Naruto-san! You spilt my coffee!" shouted the woman behind the wall, only to hear Naruto speaking in an overdramatic tone. "I didn't spill your coffee spilled on me. Thus I hadn't spilt the coffee. It was the coffee itself that spilt itself. That's what the coffee god told me," finished Naruto, causing the students to snicker as they heard a "what the heck are you on about?" from the teacher before the sounds of heels clicking the floor got quieter as time went by. "RRINNNNG. Freedom!" came the shout from outside the room, soon followed by the rapid taps of shoes against the polished floor. The teacher just moved towards the open door before sticking his head out for a few seconds, before moving his head back inside and sitting at his table, his hands covering his forehead. "Naruto was always in class, understand, students? You're free to go," spoke the man as he slumped onto his desk with a small cry. Seeing this, the students rushed out of the door with their bags in hand before everyone fell to the floor laughing, unable to keep themselves up as they stared at numerous teachers' clothing was glued to the walls, along with the teachers themselves, who had seemed like they had no clue what had happened. Safe to say, the next few days those teachers never appeared for work. Naruto's house. Opening the door to enter his home, Naruto gave a loud ah as he took his shoes off and jumped onto his couch, making sure to fly over the coffee table in front of his couch. Landing comfortably, Naruto reached his right hand out towards his TV remote on the coffee table and turned it on. "Ah, it's good to relax," thought Naruto as he flicked through multiple channels, getting slightly disappointed from the lack of anything on. Standing up, Naruto slowly removed both his shirt and blazer, before he moved down the hall and chucked them into his laundry machine, soon followed by his socks and black pants, leaving Naruto in nothing but ramen boxers. Stretching his back a bit, Naruto walked into his room and chucked on a blue shirt before walking towards his kitchen, where he sat down to a bowl of ramen and basic stir-fry. Finishing his meal, Naruto placed both bowl and dish into the sink before he walked towards his coffee table and finishing his homework. Turning his head to look at the clock, Naruto noticed that it was nearly 10 p.m., and seeing as how he didn't want to lose any sleep, he decided to go to bed early, before hearing a slight tapping sound on his front door. Moving towards it, Naruto was given a small rectangular box before the delivery man left. Holding his new box, Naruto walked down his house's hallway, making sure to turn off all the lights before reaching his own room. Arriving to his own room, Naruto hopped onto his bed and opened the box up, showing a necklace with 2 magatamas already attached to it. One brown and one a chestnut color. Smiling slightly, Naruto unclipped the necklace and wrapped it around his neck, before clicking it back to place, before taking out a small magatama set that came with the original necklace and placed it in a drawer of his as he chucked the rest of the box into the light switch, which had turned the lights off, then into the trash bin underneath the light switch. Smiling a bit more, Naruto quickly got under his covers and slept. 6 days later. We currently find Naruto now having a small jog through the park he met Issei and Irina in. The reason for this? Just the adrenaline you could gain by the sound of your own heart pumping and the wind brushing past your face. The past week for Naruto was quite usual. He did well in tests, did his homework, did a few pranks, done a few odd jobs around town to gain some bit of income. The most interesting thing in the past week was Issei apparently getting a girlfriend on the previous Monday afternoon. Shrugging and breaking out of his thoughts, Naruto concentrated on his calmly beating heart, which shouldn't be normal as he was doing a full pelt sprint around the park, going faster each and every lap he completed. Finally coming to a stop after his 55th lap, Naruto moved to a bench next to the fountain, making sure to relax a bit after his run. Before Naruto heard something not too far away from him that worried him. "Will you die for me, Issei?" Turning his head slightly, Naruto caught sight of Issei and his current/apparent girlfriend. Before widening his eyes as the girl's cloths broke off her and changed into something that someone into BDSM would enjoy. However, it wasn't that what made him widen his eyes, well, not entirely. But what did take his eyes was the glowing spear held within the girl's hand. Pushing himself off the bench, Naruto ran towards his friend, his body on complete autodrive as he saw flashes of what looked like a child standing over him with multiple needles pierced through him. Before he realized what he was doing, Naruto had pushed Issei out of the way, causing the original spear the woman created to miss entirely. Falling over in a roll, due to the force he used to move Issei, Naruto quickly came to a stop on his back, before standing up and looking towards Issei, who was laying on his belly in a shocked state. Snapping his eyes towards the lady, Naruto could only widen his own blue eyes for a second as another pink spear dug itself right through his stomach. Naruto soon felt blood well up in his throat, attempting to force its way up his throat and out of his mouth, something Issei noticed when he came out of his shocked state. "Ena Naruto!" shouted Issei, getting up off the ground as he went towards his friend, who only looked at him in a hurry. Seeing the look confused Issei for a moment, before feeling his friend, who had a spear right through his stomach, pulled him towards the ground, causing Issei to narrowly miss a pink spear to the brain. Naruto looked at Issei with sad eyes, eyes that shouldn't be there in a 17-year-old's eyes. The reason for this? Dreams kept playing through his mind in slight bits and pieces. Gripping the spear in his gut, Naruto ripped his hands away from the pink spear, already feeling the phantom pains that warned him of what would happen if he did attempt to move it. Naruto moved his eyes towards the woman that had nearly killed both Issei and him. The first thing he could tell was that she was smirking at the two of them, for whatever reason. The second thing was the slight twitch on her forehead, mostly for taking longer than had been expected. Naruto was soon cut off from the woman's voice, which seemed very mature. "Well, Issei-kun, it seems that you have a friend here to save you. Too bad I will now have to kill him as well. You know the old saying, no witnesses," finished the woman, her smirk turning into a very large grin as multiple spears formed around her, causing Naruto to stand and grab Issei, ignoring the feeling of a massive spear stabbed right through you. Moving Issei and himself behind a tree, Naruto quickly looked over Issei's shoulder and saw which part of the park he was around. There was no way out without a sacrifice. As Issei watched spear after spear be sent sailing towards them and their tree, he felt himself succumb to depression before feeling his friend's hand on his shoulder. "Issei, run, this chick ain't right, okay? It'll distract her while you ran, she is definitely after you, okay?" Finished Naruto as he didn't allow his friend to answer as he ran out of his hiding spot only to have multiple spears pierce right through his torso, causing Naruto's body to fall down lifeless, as if someone had just cut a puppet's string. Issei watched this with horror, as he saw his best friend just get skewered by multiple glowing spears. Just as Issei was about to move, however, he came to the sight of a spear shot right through his stomach, his girlfriend holding the spear personally as she smiled at him. However, the smile lasted only for a second as she chucked his body towards his friend's body. With bleary eyes, Issei watched as his girlfriend flew off, before looking towards Naruto once more. "Someone please help me, and please be a beautiful woman," spoke Issei before his eyes closed, not seeing a glowing red ceiling array appear. When the ceiling array disappeared, a young woman was seen standing. The woman had white skin, blue-green colored eyes, and a buxom figure. Her most distinctive feature was her long, beautiful crimson hair that reached down to her thighs, with a single strand sticking out from the top. Her hair also had a few bangs framing her forehead, and some bands framing her face as well. The woman also had appeared to wear the current female version of the uniform of Ko Academy, this being a long-sleeved, button-down shirt, with a black ribbon on her shirt collar, worn under a black shoulder cape and matching button-down corset, with a magenta skirt with white accents. She also had white crew-length socks and brown dress shoes on her feet. When Rias arrived, she had expected to see Issei laying near dead, so that wasn't much of a shock to her. However, what she hadn't expected was the prankster of Ko also lying dead, with wounds that could only be caused by either an angel or fallen angel, spread out through his entire torso. Now Rias felt bad. She had been waiting for this moment to gain Issei into her peerage, but had not expected someone else to die within her plan. Moving forwards, Rias placed a hand over the young blonde's body and gave a sigh. She hadn't felt anything worth reviving him for. With a sad sigh, Rias turned away from the body before going over to Issei and reviving him, soon taking his body to be healed by her. Back at the park, Naruto found himself floating in pure darkness. "Is this death?" asked Naruto to himself, his voice echoing throughout the darkness. Naruto then felt something wet go down his cheek as he looked at the endless void. "Was I not good enough to go anywhere? Did I not deserve a place in heaven?" asked Naruto to himself, still gazing out to the infinite darkness that surrounded him. "Is the life I held not well enough?" muttered out Naruto once more before the darkness flashed white, before finally breaking up into webs, each gap between the webs showing a scene. A scene of a blonde-haired child being orchestrated from everyone. A child growing and making bonds. A child going through the pain of losing people close to him. A child that brought peace to the world. Suddenly Naruto gripped his head tightly. He could feel something. He could feel himself. He could feel himself somehow complete. Soon the images disappeared. Instead, a blue, gold, and red orb of a flame-like substance glowed a few meters in front of him. "Remember." Naruto moved forward towards the orb. "Remember. I will bring peace to the world. If there is such a thing as peace, I will find a way to reach it," spoke one of the images of a blonde-haired teen as he talked to a man with short red hair. "Remember. I will bring peace to the world. I will break this cycle of hatred," shouted a slightly older blonde teen as he battled a man in a mask. "Remember." Naruto's hand was now only a few centimeters away from the orb. "Remember our Nindo." Naruto's eyes snapped open as he shoved his hand forward, the orb shattering, releasing a massive storm of energy around him, before the energy entered him. "Remember our Nindo. Remember our comrades. Remember our senseis. Remember our friends." Suddenly the slight voice in the back of his head went quiet before he already knew what to finish the sentence with. "Remember who Naruto Uzumaki is!" screamed Naruto, exploding in a massive maelstrom of energy. If anyone looked outside, they would see a blinding blue light shooting from the park into the sky, soon joined by both a gold and red color, before eventually dying down and disappearing, like it never even occurred. At the park, the dying body of Naruto twitched, then twitched again and again and again before the teen's eyes snapped open, showing orange eyes with a pupil in the shape of a cross between a toad and slit, before slowly going back to a cerulean blue color. "Naruto Uzumaki-ha," murmured Naruto, moving a hand up towards the shining stars. "If there is a thing such as peace," muttered Naruto once more as he pushed himself up slightly, his body already healing the once numerous holes in his torso. "Then I will attain it," shouted Naruto as he clenched his fist tightly, before getting himself up and walking away, back to him home. "I'll wait another day, another headache," mumbled Naruto as he pushed his covers off him, showing his boxer-clad body with his Magatama necklace as he flung his legs off the edge of his bed and onto the brown wooden floor, before pushing himself up onto his feet and walking towards his bathroom. Opening his bathroom door up, Naruto's half-awake eyes traveled towards his toothbrush cup and towards his toothpaste on the other end, before giving a sigh as he reached for his toothbrush and toothpaste, before grabbing both in his hands. Raising his right hand up slightly, Naruto unscrewed the toothpaste lid and squished some paste onto his toothbrush, before laying down the open toothpaste. Moving his now free hand, Naruto moved his hand towards the tap, before feeling a cool feeling go over his palm. Feeling this, Naruto moved his toothbrush under the sink for a second before he placed it in his mouth. His toothbrush was dry. Didn't he turn his tap on? Looking down, Naruto stared at his hand that now had a small bit of condensed water slightly floating on top of his palm for a few moments, before his eyes snapped open as he threw his hand away from him towards the bathroom mirror. For some reason, Naruto spoke a few words as he flung his hand away from him. Water style, water gun. Naruto widened his eyes further when the small condensed pile of water became a geyser of water as it traveled towards his mirror, which shattered near instantly from the force of the water blast. Naruto quickly placed his toothbrush in his mouth before he covered his right hand, stopping the random blast of water near instantly. When the water blast ended, Naruto walked backwards until his back hit the wall, just plainly staring at his hand. What the started Naruto, before a flash of memories attacked his head, causing him to have a slight headache. Naruto Uzumaki. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, the son of Kushina Uzumaki and Minato Namikaze, the Jinchuriki of Kurama and reincarnation of Hagoromo Otsutsuki, Rikuta Senin's son Ashura Otsutsuki. Finishing his slight monologue, Naruto walked out of his bathroom and walked outside, before throwing his finger up towards the sky once more. Fuck you, said Naruto before he returned back inside, currently going over what he now knew/remembered. Walking up to the stove, Naruto quickly turned on the stove to a moderate heat, before walking towards his fridge and pulling out a carton of eggs and a bag of uncooked bacon. Walking back to the stove, Naruto began to make his breakfast, adding the odd spice to his eggs as they cooked. Naruto sighed once more as he watched his bacon and eggs cook on 2 different pans, both with a different heat level. Okay Naruto, what do you remember about yesterday? Actually I remember it all, spoke Naruto to himself, before narrowing his eyes slightly as he remembered a certain little even before he completely blacked out. What was it again? Oh right, one of the big sisters of Ko popped out of a seal and revived Issei while leaving him for dead. I've been there and done that apparently, muttered Naruto as he reviewed some of his memories from his past life showing the similar event multiple times. Finishing his breakfast, Naruto grabbed a plate from a cupboard and placed it near the stove. Before picking up both pans that held his breakfast, he then tilted them slightly, watching as both eggs and bacon fell off the non-stick frying pan and onto the single plate, before moving towards the sink where he placed his pans. Grabbing his plate and some utensils, Naruto sat down onto his table and began eating, his mind thinking of all the things he needed to do today. Guess he wasn't going to school. Okay, first up, how much chakra do I have and what control I have over it, thought Naruto as he wanted to get a base where his chakra levels were. Placing his fork down, Naruto closed his eyes and breathed out slightly for a few minutes, before he opened his eyes slowly in a calm fashion that showed a calculating thought behind them. Okay, seems I got as much chakra as I had after beating Nagato. However, my control is back to being nothing. Oh, the chakra control exercises I'm going to have to do. At least my chakra feels easier to control though, probably due to me having Hagoromo's chakra and, in turn, Ashura's. There's also the fact that Kurama isn't there to battle against my chakra anymore like he did before the war, muttered Naruto as he tapped his chin in thought. I wonder how the furry bastard is back wherever he is. Damn, I miss the big guy, said Naruto in a sigh, imagining where Kurama could be as he had no clue how this had happened. Him being reincarnated in a more advanced world, that is. Grabbing his now empty plate, Naruto quickly placed it in the sink before heading towards his bedroom closet. Okay, so I also noticed my body is quite different as well. It seems like my Uzumaki vitality was strengthened, if the fact that I could do 50 or so full sprint laps around a decently sized park said anything. But I have no idea about my combat capability, but I can easily tell that I don't have any muscle memory anymore. Damn it. I have to do taijutsu training again, shouted Naruto near the end as he threw on an orange t-shirt with black cargo pants and matching black shoes. Looking into the full-length mirror in the closet, Naruto grinned to himself as he slammed a closed fist into an open one. Okay. Time to get back into shape, shouted Naruto as he moved to the front of his house, checking through the peephole to make sure there was no one around. Seeing this, Naruto quickly opened the door and locked it, before once again checking both sides before he overloaded Churka into his legs as he jumped up, causing him to jump over quite a bit of houses as he went towards the forest that surrounds Ko. A few minutes later, we find Naruto landing in the massive forest full of trees with a soft thump. Looking around the large clearing, Naruto gave a smirk as he moved his hands up into AT formation. Kagebushin no Jutsu. Poof! Soon the clearing was filled with 500 Narutos, each ready with determined expressions as they looked towards their creator. Looking over the large swarm of clones, Naruto gave a thumbs up towards them. Okay guys, you already know what's going on, so split into groups of 50. First group do tree walking, second group do water walking. Even if it seems impossible because of our current control, at least get the feeling of how it works into our head. Group 3, I want you to split up into groups of 10. Then the groups of 10, I want you to work on the first phase of elemental manipulation. Same thing with water walking, even if it doesn't work, make sure to get a feel to it. Group 4 will be relearning the stances for the frog kata. Even though we can't access senjutsu because of our control, we should be able to implement the frog kata style into our muscle memory. Group 5, using the understanding of chakra old man Hagoromo gave us, learn Fuinjutsu. However, make sure to learn how to make and play seals through physical contact, it is the most effective after all. Group 6, I want to practice sparring against each other, get our reflexes and hand-eye coordination back. While you're doing this, I'm going to condition our body, understood? Asked Naruto, getting a nod from each of his clones as they walked away from their position in the clearing, spreading out so that they could complete their objective for the day. 8 hours later. Ha 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 ha, okay, that's good enough ha for ha today, spoke Naruto as he sat against a tree, his cloths now soaked in his sweat just as he finished his final workout. Looking towards the forest, Naruto raised his hands up to form a single hand sign, and soon felt his clones' memories return to him as he sat and waited. He watched through the multiple perspectives of his tree-climbing chakra control clones and how a good chunk died from overloading their steps before being sent crashing against other trees, causing the tree-climbing clones to continuously recreate clones through the entire process. But it did seem like they had completed the tree-climbing exercise by the end of it. However, when he felt his water-walking clones pop, he was quite surprised to find out they had completed the exercise an hour in and had decided to mix it up with using the leaf balancing control exercise while walking in random patterns. He then got images of some clones walking with 10 leaves hovering his fingers as they walked around. He then got images from his elemental clones showing a slightly cut leaf, slightly burnt leaf, a moist leaf, slightly crinkled leaf, and a dusty leaf. Showing some progress in the elemental manipulation part, mostly in wind as it was his original element. His frog kata was probably the best thing his clones had finished, as he could feel the muscle memory of the style get back into his system at a decently fast pace. The only group that had the most difficulty was the Fuinjutsu group, who had only managed to create basic seals through physical contact, which was amazing in its own right. Standing up, Naruto began to walk towards his home, his body already recovering his stamina as he felt his feet crunch against the grass until he happened to walk into something that made him have a sweat drop at the back of his head. Looking forward, Naruto saw Issei standing across from a guy with black wings like the chick that had killed both him and Issei. Seeing the man prepare to throw another spear towards Issei, Naruto acted, dashing forwards. Naruto sent a flying head kick towards the man's head, causing the fallen angel to be sent crashing against the ground. Landing on the ground in a crouch, Naruto turned his head towards Issei with a slight wave. Yo Issei! How's it going? Asked Naruto in a calm tone, causing Issei to widen his eyes as he looked towards his friend. Shakily raising a finger up, Issei started to walk backwards in fear. And na Naruto bu but I thought you died, muttered Issei, his body shaking slightly at seeing his friend alive and kicking, something Naruto chuckled at. Yeah, I did, so did you? But Rias revived you somehow and left me for dead, but I gotta say that it was a good thing she did. If she hadn't, I might not have found who I am, spoke Naruto, moving his head towards the fallen angel who was now standing up. Before the man had a chance to start, Naruto once again appeared right next to him and sent a heel kick to his chin, sending the man far away at breakneck speeds. Watching as the body soon disappeared in a star shape, Naruto gave a small whistle before walking up to Issei, who was frozen shocked. Seeing his friend shocked and frozen, Naruto went on to clicking his fingers in front of Issei's face. The next few minutes of clicking finally irritated Naruto enough, so deciding to get Issei's attention another way, he grinned. Sexy jutsu. Poof. The next few seconds shown Issei flying head first into a tree with a bloody nose and swirls replacing his eyes. Chuckling to himself, Naruto returned back to normal and grabbed Issei by the hem of his shirt, all the while laughing at his friend's face slightly. Seeing Issei finally come out of his mid-shock face, Naruto dropped his friend on his ass once again. So Issei, how's it being revived and all? Asked Naruto, his arms crossed as he looked at Issei, who had blinked slightly. Wait, you're serious? I thought that was a dream. I mean, everyone at school forgot Yuma, so I thought it was a dream, spoke Issei, looking at the sky as he did so, before feeling Naruto's finger poke at his head. Not all real, still remember what the stabs felt like, not very nice if I gotta say, said Naruto, chuckling for a moment, before he narrowed his eyes slightly as he looked to the trees that were behind Issei's back. Seeing Issei going to speak, Naruto held his hand up. Issei, before you say anything, I gotta go. Don't worry, I'll explain to you what happened to me at school tomorrow, okay buddy? I'll even peek with you if you want, said Naruto as he walked away, causing Issei to widen his eyes slightly, before a grin stretched onto his face. But before Issei could reply, he felt a hand on his shoulder. Turning around, Issei found himself staring at one of the big sisters. Wait a minute, the other big sister was behind her. With Naruto. Sigh, what am I supposed to do now, muttered Naruto as he walked around his living room, boredom easily distinguished through his body language. Looking at his clock once again, Naruto noticed that it hadn't even went past 7, meaning he had plenty of time left on his hands. Ah, fuck it, I'm sure a bit more Fuinjutsu practice wouldn't kill me, mumbled Naruto to himself as he raised his hands into a T shape and summoned 4 other clones. For the next few hours, we find all the Narutos seated at different places across the house, using all they knew about chakra to have a base to create Fuinjutsu. Soon, it was finally 10 p.m. Placing down his pen and paper, Naruto dispelled his clones before walking towards his room, chucking his clothing all over the place as he couldn't be bothered putting them in the laundry on his way to bed. Jumping onto his bed, and felt himself bounce slightly before coming back down into his comfy mattress before shutting his eyes. Wonder what's going to happen tomorrow, mumbled Naruto to himself, going into a deep sleep. Shit! Shouted a blonde-haired man as he leaped from roof to roof, completely missing an odd look of shock a few people hold on their faces when they looked towards his location. Naruto couldn't care less who saw him, he only had 5 minutes to be seated or he would have detention, and the blonde sure as hell wasn't going to be stuck after school for an hour or two, that's for sure. Looking forwards, Naruto narrowed his blue eyes as he saw Koa Academy only a few blocks away from the position he was in. Pumping some chakra into his legs, Naruto leaped further than his previous jumps, covering a good chunk of the distance in that single leap. Keeping his eyes focused on the school, which he was about to enter via landing, Naruto's eyes went towards the clock once more, confirming his worries. 8:44. He only had a single minute. Landing, Naruto quickly pushed off the ground, sending some sand into the air as he flashed around the school, hurrying to his homeroom. Getting into the hallway, Naruto narrowed his eyes as he saw the homeroom teacher shutting the door. Dashing forwards once more, Naruto dived towards the door, barely getting his entire body through the door as he flew through the narrowed opening. However, due to the chakra-enhanced dive, he had overshot the original landing location, that being the floor, and instead crashed into one of the older students there. And that older student happened to be the president of the student council, Sona Citri. Crap. Shit! Shouted Naruto as he and Sona went sprawling across the floor, with him finally coming to a stop with Sona laying on top of him. Just his luck, out of the few odd elder students that had the unlucky hand at sharing their homeroom, happened to be one of the most popular. Laying on the ground a few moments, Naruto shook his head slightly to get the ramen bowls out of his head, before looking onto his chest to see Sona's head looking up at him slightly, glare in place as she sent him a pointed look. Let go of my ass, said the student council president clearly, causing most of the students to look towards Sona's ass and blinked for a moment when they noticed that Naruto's hand was laid against it. For Naruto, he had no clue what she was on about, before he felt something beneath his right hand. Not making the connection of what it was, Naruto gave an experimental squeeze and widened his eyes in horror. That horror increased when a sound came from Sona's mouth. Ah, moaned the president of the student council. Shit. Naruto sent his eyes all around the classroom and started to sweat slightly at the looks everyone was sending towards him. Even if he was a badass godlike ninja, he was sure as hell not going to be able to fight back unless he exposed himself as being special, and seeing how Sona seems to have a similar feeling to Rias, no chance. Quickly lifting both himself and Sona up, he quickly placed the frozen Sona in her seat, before edging towards the front right desk, right next to the door. Seeing that his class was slowly starting to cool down, he began the daily morning news. Okay class, will student. 2.5 hours later. We now find Naruto walking down the stairs towards the entrance of the academy with his hands in his pockets. Walking down the stairs, Naruto moved his head around slightly, looking at the perfectly cut grass, bushes and trees as he walked around to the back of the academy towards his regular relaxing spot. Removing his bag from his back, Naruto sent the small blue and white bag towards a tree's base, before following suit and laying against his bag. Moving his head up to look towards the blue cloudy sky, Naruto sent out a soft sigh. That incident with Sona seriously wasn't the smartest thing to do, but at least it wasn't my entire fault. But the way she feels is similar to what aura Rias gave out when she took Issei away to be healed. Are they connected somehow? Or do they just share the same abilities like the chick and dude with black wings? This is too much of a headache, thought Naruto with a slight pout. His facial expression stayed in its relaxed state. For the next few minutes, Naruto simply sat there enjoying the silence, before he threw his head forwards with his eyes opened. Looking towards the pathway that led towards the front of the school, Naruto quickly made sure that there wasn't anyone in seeing and hearing range, before rising his hands up into a T shape. Kagebushin no Jutsu. Soon the sounds of multiple poofs ran through the clearing, soon showing around 200 separate clones all lined up and ready for orders. Okay, first I want you all to split into two groups. First group will focus on seals again. However, I want you guys to more specifically focus on creating a gravity seal, but only a small part of you, while the rest continues with the understanding of Fuinjutsu. The other 100 I want to have you guys relearn the Rasengan, but this time with only one hand, as currently we are at a slightly higher chakra supply level from when we battled Nagato, and about a low chunin in chakra control. And since the Rasengan is both shape manipulation and control, it will also give the added bonus of giving us better chakra control. Understand? Asked Naruto, getting a nod from all the clones before they disappeared. Seeing this, Naruto laid against his bag once again, before he lifted his right arm towards his face, before pushing the long sleeve back slightly, showing a seal printed on his wrist when he started to circulate chakra around. Moving a small bit of chakra into the seal, Naruto had a very big grin when a hot piping bowl of ramen came into existence. Laying the ramen down between his legs, Naruto tugged at the long sleeve to once again cover his wrist, before moving his left hand into his jacket pocket, that soon had some smoke coming out of it, along with a pair of chopsticks. Picking the ramen bowl with his right hand, Naruto separated the chopsticks with skill that only masters of chopsticks could do, before he started to inhale his ramen at a faster rate than he had before, past and present life. Finishing his ramen, Naruto placed the bowl down and let out a satisfied sigh. "Our ramen, there will never be anything better than you," muttered Naruto as he sealed his now empty bowl into his left wrist. "Well, the way you ate it would implement that it was good," spoke a voice to his right. Narrowing his eyes as he knew who the scent/aura belonged to, Naruto disappeared and reappeared a few meters away from the tree, causing Sona to raise a single eyebrow in curiosity. "So I was right, you aren't a human after all. So what are you? Devil, angel, or a fallen angel?" asked Sona, her eyes narrowing at the last two she spoke of. Blinking, Naruto looked at Sona with a slightly raised eyebrow. "Devil? Angel? Fallen angel? Sorry, little Miss President, never heard of them before. But seeing as how you and a few others in the school, now including my friend Issei, seem to have a similar aura with each other, so which one are you?" asked Naruto, his right hand going towards his back pocket. Sona widened her eyes slightly. Naruto's body language and heartbeat told her that he wasn't joking about the question. He seriously didn't know anything about devils or the other factions. However, while she was thinking, she hadn't noticed another Naruto standing behind her with a kunai blade pointed to her neck. "Well, which are you?" asked the Naruto behind her, the one a few meters in front giving a small peace sign before poofing out of existence, causing Sona to widen her eyes behind her glasses further in shock. What just happened? A clone created by some different type of magic?" asked Sona, getting a raised eyebrow from the blonde-haired male behind her, kunai still positioned in front of her throat. "Magic? No, but that doesn't mean I'm going to tell you what it was. I've seen too much cartoons where if the hero tells someone something, it usually comes to bite them on the ass multiple times. Now, if you are willing to answer my question," asked Naruto once more, moving his kunai closer towards the president's throat, breaking a small bit of skin and causing a tiny amount of blood to drip down Sona's throat. Sona smirked at this. "So it seems that the off-topic tactic didn't work now, did it? Fine then, I'm a devil," Sona replied, her devil wings sprouting behind her to help her claim. Seeing this, Naruto blinked for a second, before disappearing and reappearing at the base of his tree once more. "Okay, cool, you answered my question, so you can go now," said Naruto as he once again laid against his tree, slightly shocking Sona at his attitude. Did he forget that he was attempting to threaten her? However, Sona was cut off from her thoughts when Naruto added a bit more to his previous statement. Oh yeah, you also might want to get your devil friends that were chilling in the trees around us. They should still be at their original positions, only stripped, painted orange and tied up, said Naruto as he heard the bell for recess to end. Standing up from his relatively short lay down, Naruto patted down his pants before he grabbed his bag and left, leaving a shocked Sona in the small, out-of-the-way, grass plain. 2 hours later. Seeing as how it was now lunch, Naruto quickly escaped his classroom and dashed towards the front of the school. He could already feel the freedom getting closer as he ran towards the open doors of Koa Academy's front doors. Will Naruto please move to the student council room in the request of Sona Citri and Rias Gremory? Asked a voice over the PA, causing Naruto to narrow his eyes slightly before sighing. Looking towards the open front doors of Koa Academy, Naruto walked back into the school with a depressed air and cloud over him, causing many of the females and males to both giggle and laugh as they left for their lunch break. Trudging along, Naruto watched as the final student went past him, before his depressed air disappeared and an air that screamed ninja god appeared around him as he walked towards the student council's personal room, his chakra moving around his body ready to react to anything as soon as he walked into the student council's room. Finally finishing his walk, Naruto stared at the bold letters that spelt out student council before sending a hand out towards the doorknob. Gripping the doorknob with his right hand, Naruto twisted it open, making sure he counted the amount of signatures he felt in the room, before he opened the door and walked in, watching as both Sona's group and Rias's group stopped talking as he walked in. However, he was pleasantly surprised to see that Issei had been invited. Yo! Issei! How's it going? Asked Naruto, his foxy grin spread across his face as he looked towards his friend who smiled back and ran up towards him. Wrapping Naruto in a one-armed hug, Issei started to speak, the joyous tone easily found and noticed. Naruto! It's great seeing ya! And thanks for yesterday, I could have died again. Well, that's what Bucho told me anyway, so thanks. Anyway, are you a devil as well, Naruto? Asked Issei, his and Naruto's one-armed hug ending with both participants a bit happier. Naruto waved his hand slightly. Nah, I'm not, just a plain old regular human who probably couldn't be revived by anything other than sheer will. Now that I think about it, it is nearly always my will that revives me or some girl either warning me from the future, or giving me her life from kissing me. At this, Naruto went silent as he started to count all the girls that either kept him alive or revived him via kisses on his hand, causing Issei to widen his eyes when he saw Naruto go on to a second hand and stop at 7. Seeing the situation getting out of hand, Sona cleared her voice. Naruto-san, would you please focus on what we are going to tell you? Asked Sona, only getting a does the Sakura manually forcing my heart to pump and her breathing into me count. Yeah, it does, I guess. From Naruto as he was still counting, now in his tens or so. After a few moments of both Sona and Rias twitching, along with their members, not including Issei, who was staring at Naruto with a narrowed glare as he had reached about 18, he finally gave out a sigh. Yep, 18 times. What were you guys on about before? I forgot, said Naruto, confusion on his face as he looked between both Sona and Rias. Just as Sona was going to open her mouth, Naruto had held up his hand as he just remembered something. Oh yeah, I forgot about that, mumbled Naruto as he rummaged through his pockets, before pulling them out showing that they were empty. Would any of you have a camera or something? Asked Naruto, only to be met with a shake of their heads. Giving out a sigh, Naruto just pouted a bit. Damn, I wanted to get this on camera, mumbled Naruto, causing everyone to raise a single eyebrow up at his random question. Oh damn, oh well, seems like my phone will have to do. Anyway, say cheese, said Naruto as he walked towards the group with a grin, before he spontaneously exploded and sent orange paint out in every direction, causing everyone within the room to be painted bright orange. Click. 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 The sounds of multiple camera shots could be heard, but before anyone could find out where the camera shots were coming from, they stopped. Sona moved her glasses in anger. That blonde-haired bastard not only grouped her ass, but had also beat her peerage within the span of 2 hours, before now coloring her in bright orange. Cue more twitches from Sona as one of the calmest people simply gave up and went towards the back of the room to the private student council members' bathrooms, Rias soon following. Issei stood there covered in orange for a second, before getting a twitch as he looked to the roof. Fuck you, Naruto, spoke Issei, before following the rest of Rias's peerage into the bathrooms. With Naruto, Wahahaha! Laughed Naruto as he walked to his final class. He had just gotten the images of the apparent devil's faces as they got pranked, and he couldn't be more pleased, even though he had to prank his friend, but it was worth it. However, while he was walking towards his next class, Naruto looked out of a window to his left, staring at what seemed like a girl with long black hair standing on top of a telephone pole, staring directly at him as if she knew something. However, when he saw the girl's mouth move, Naruto had managed to pick up what she had lipped. Chakra. After saying that single word, the girl seemed to disappear like she wasn't even there in the first place. Shrugging it off and placing it in his remember to search file in his head, Naruto went to the toilets, before summoning a Kage Bushin to take his place, making sure to have the clone have enough chakra to survive a few hits just to make sure it doesn't pop while he went home. Seeing his clone go, Naruto sneaked out and headed towards his home, his body and mind exhausted from the day, before he looked at his right hand for a moment, before lowering it once more. "I'm not a pervert," mumbled Naruto to himself multiple times as he tried to forget the school council's president's ass and how it felt. Before he gave out a sigh and looked up. "Well, now that I'm even with Rias, I can finally go back to talking with Issei. Oh well, might as well get home and just sleep again," muttered Naruto before he heard something within the wind call out to him. The forest. The forest? Naruto asked himself for a moment, before shaking his head and using his speed to appear at his home in less than a few minutes. Finally finding himself standing in front of his door, Naruto moved his hand to open the door as he gave out a sigh once more. Well, tomorrow's a new day. Wow, okay, so pissing off two devils who are apparently very well connected isn't very smart, muttered Naruto as he looked at the conviction paper in his hand. So for the past few days he might have had pranked the living daylights of both the student council and the people in the occult research club at every opportunity they presented him, which was mainly whenever they attempted to talk to him in one way or another. The pranking also included Issei when he overheard Rias ask if he would either help him or Rias if they were in danger. His answer was Yubucho, but while Naruto had a slight grudge after that, the pranking more than made up for it. But then again, if he was friends with a guy who could stab him with a lightning-covered hand a few times, he could easily handle a single choice. But if he was fair, Rias would probably require the help while he would be fine. Looking at his used-to-be home, Naruto simply opened the front door and summoned some clones to seal his possessions in a scroll, which he would then seal into his wrist and open at a later date. Sealing his collectibles into his wrist, Naruto walked out of his old home, placing a paint seal on the side of the door for the new owners, which he had never seen or heard about before in his life, and he knew nearly everyone in the whole city, helping out nearly everyone helped in that regard. All were well timed to build a home in the forest, muttered Naruto, his school blazer open, showing his orange shirt as he walked with his hands behind his head, listening to the sounds of cars going by and birds chirping. "Ai!" shouted a voice beside him. Turning his head slightly, Naruto got the sight of a blonde-haired nun falling over. Turning around, Naruto quickly caught the nun, making sure not to grab anything, and lifted her up so that she was standing. "Hey! Are you okay?" asked Naruto, still holding the nun's shoulders to make sure she was not going to fall over. The small blonde-haired, green-eyed nun nodded, a small smile and blush on her face. "Why yes, thank you," said the nun in an embarrassed tone as she covered her cheeks with her hands, hiding the small blush that formed on her face from embarrassment. Waving slightly, Naruto laughed. "Ha ha ha, don't worry about it. It was the right thing to do. So where are you from?" asked Naruto, noticing that the girl seemed like she didn't know where she was going, if the embarrassed blush returning said anything. I'm from one of the smaller islands around. I had been sent to become a nun for the church here. Would you happen to know where that is? I'm a bit lost," said Asia in a sheepish expression as she looked around, causing Naruto to laugh slightly. "Haha, don't worry, I know where the church is, but I gotta ask why someone would send you here. Our church hasn't been used in what? 10 to 20 years? But I can still show you where it is if you want," replied Naruto, picking up Asia's bag for her as he began walking forward, Asia walking to his right with her hands above her lap. "Thank you," muttered Asia in a shy tone, only causing Naruto to look back at her with a small smile. "Don't worry about it, but first off, I feel something different about you than other humans. Are you an angel or something?" asked Naruto, causing the small girl to blink in confusion. "Me an angel? I may follow the Lord, but I am no angel. Maybe one day he will let me become one and I may serve under his guiding hand. After all, it was he who let me meet you, so, amen," said Asia, doing a small prayer for meeting the kind blonde man. Widening her eyes, Asia clapped her hands. "Oh, that's right. We haven't given each other our names yet. squeaked Asia as she stopped Naruto and turned him towards her, before putting her hand out. My name is Asia Argento. What's yours? Asked Asia, hand out waiting as Naruto sent his own hand forwards, connecting the two in a nice handshake. Naruto Uzumaki, said Naruto with a grin, enjoying the fact that he could now have a last name. Nice to meet you, Naruto-kun, said Asia, moving her other hand to also hold Naruto's. It's nice to meet you as well, Asia-chan, said Naruto as both he and Asia let go of each other's hand and continued walking towards the church. Walking through the park, Naruto felt a shiver run through his spine as he felt something, or rather someone, who would now always appear as a Uzumaki get ready to repay someone in ass-kicking, especially after the little event of his and Issei's rebirth. Feeling the certain someone's energy going towards his direction, probably for Asia as apparently no other being could sense a chakra user, seeing as how it was a requirement for any human, but without someone's chakra to strengthen theirs, like what the Rakuta Sannin did, there wouldn't be any other shinobi. And he was sure as hell not giving any chakra to anyone else, especially after all the things he remembered during his life. Turning his head towards Asia, Naruto gave a small grin. Hey Asia-chan, wanna see something really cool? But it has to be private, so how about we go behind that tree there? Said Naruto as he pointed to a tree that was quite thick to their left. Seeing the confused tilt for a moment on Asia's face, Naruto was sure he was going to have to do something to make Asia move, and quickly as he felt the signature coming closer. Now the reason why Naruto didn't want to fight the signature wasn't because he couldn't beat whoever it was, but the fact that the signature started to go in his direction when Asia appeared had put him off, and he wasn't taking the chance at Asia being injured in a stupid accident, which usually happens when he fights. He would either kick someone into something, setting a chain of reactions that would somehow make something extremely stupid happen, or he would have someone from the outside jump in and fuck everything up. Okay, muttered Asia in a nervous tone as she walked behind the tree, Naruto behind her with a shocked expression as he thought for sure she wasn't going to do it. Finally reaching the tree, Naruto made sure to send out a chakra pulse going through the air, making sure that there was no one that could possibly see them from an angle or directly view them. Seeing as how there was no one who could see them, Naruto placed Asia's bag against the floor before pulling up one of his blazer's sleeves, showing a kanji mark on his wrists. Seeing this confused Asia, however, her confusion quickly turned into awe when Naruto sealed her suitcase/bag into his wrists, before he wrapped an arm around Asia's waist and closed his eyes. Okay Asia, you might feel a bit dizzy, but trust me it will be cool, but don't blink, said Naruto as he moved his chakra around before both he and Asia disappeared from the park, causing the signal's host to come to a stop. Outside the church. Within the span of a second, Naruto had used the Shunshin no Jutsu to send both him and Asia to the front of the church, which instantly set Naruto off, as he felt the aura of the place oozed off. Asia-chan, you do know that there are fallen angels in there, right? Asked Naruto as he stared towards the main entrance of the church, almost missing the shocked look Asia held onto her face. What do you mean, Naruto-kun? The church is a place of God, spoke Asia, her voice timid as she noticed Naruto's serious look that he sent towards the church. Naruto narrowed his eyes further, as he felt multiple auras like the two he met a week or so ago. He instantly felt the negative emotions inside the church, confirming that it wasn't simply a mistake that the aura of fallen angels resided here. Looking towards Asia, he saw the look of a kicked puppy. Moving a free hand up to his forehead, Naruto sighed. Fine, we will go in, but I don't like this place. It isn't a typical church, so if anything so much as proves that this place isn't what it appears, I'm going to take us out of there, okay? Said Naruto as he moved forward towards the door, which he then pushed in, causing the sound of something old being moved for the first time to screech out, causing Naruto to twitch as his hearing got the sound of the screech at a higher frequency than Asia, who looked uncomfortable at the screech. Well, it seems the blonde boy has just brought our newest member, muttered a voice that rang through the church, causing Naruto to narrow his eyes as he moved Asia closer towards him, making the small nun give a slight sigh in relief as the voice continued to speak. Oh, I remember you, you're the one who kicked me when I was going to kill that devil. I really should repay you for that, spoke the voice one more, before Naruto grabbed Asia and jumped to the right, avoiding a man flying past his original spot with a blue spear held in his hands. Ho! Seems that this one has some actual skill and not just luck, spoke the man now coming into view. Looking at him, Naruto could only describe him as a middle-aged man with short black hair and dark blue eyes. He also wore what detectives would wear in an old TV show, with a trench coat and long pants with black classy shoes and a black fedora. Naruto simply crossed his arms, making sure to glue Asia to his back slightly as he felt 2 other fallen angel signatures going around towards his back, and that wasn't counting the hundreds of signatures that he felt under the church moving around slowly. This coming from the guy I kicked twice in the span of what? 20 seconds? Asked Naruto, his eyes glued to the man in front of him, who began to laugh. Oh, I was just not ready, but now since I get this chance, how about I show you how weak you are, human? Spoke the man as he dashed forward only to widen his eyes as in a split second both Naruto and Asia disappeared and reappeared at the front of the church. Turning his head slightly towards Asia, Naruto placed his hands in a cross formation. Kagebushin no Jutsu. Cue multiple poofs that appeared around Asia. The man widened his eyes further as 10 copies appeared around Asia and Naruto, each staring at the man with a blank look. Turning his head to one of his clones, Naruto voiced out his order. Take Asia to where our new home is going to be built. Don't let anyone go near her, especially if it's a fallen angel. I'm going to make sure that the fallen here won't hurt anyone else. Spoke Naruto, getting a nod from his clones as they heard their instructions, and with a poof of smoke, Asia and the 10 Naruto clones disappeared into nothingness. Looking towards the man in the detective getup, Naruto narrowed his eyes. You might want your friends to pop up. I'm also talking about the chick who nearly killed me a week ago who's sitting on the roof of the church. Spoke Naruto, causing laughter to ring out around, 3 voices contributing to the laughter. My, if it isn't Issei's little friend who I was sure died in my attack, oh well, at least now I can truly cherish your death. However, for surviving our last meeting I will grace you with my name is Rainier. Spoke Rainier, beautiful face stretching into a grin as her black hair outlined her face. Soon 2 other fallen angels appeared. The one on the left was quite a tall figure with a buxom body. She had long, navy blue hair that had covered her right eye, her other eye being brown. She also seemed to wear the same BDSM outfit that Rainier wore, which barely covered her and woman part, causing Naruto, much to his embarrassment, to blush slightly. The girl on the right, however, had blonde hair and a twin-tail style with blue eyes. She, like the other fallen angels, had taken to wearing a BDSM-style outfit, which put Naruto off as she looked to be around the age of 12 to 13. She also had a black bow on her head. And your names are? Asked Naruto, his arms still crossed as he moved his eyes between the blue-haired girl and the blonde-haired girl. Calawarner. Spoke the blue-haired fallen angel in an arrogant tone. Middled spoke the little blonde girl in a cruel tone, causing Naruto to shiver slightly. Little girls with cruel attitudes just don't work well, thought Naruto, as he looked at the blonde-haired girl. Well then, seeing as you gave me all your names, how about I tell you something? Said Naruto with a grin. Seeing the grin, the 3 women and man looked at Naruto with a raised eyebrow. Oh, and what is you going to tell us? Asked Rainier with a grin. Are you going to ask us to spare you? No, I bet you're going to ask us to let you join us. Spoke Rainier with a grin, which instantly turned into an annoyed expression when Naruto shook his head in a joyous negative. Nope. I was just going to say, began Naruto, only to extend his grin when the church floor caved in, making Naruto drop to where the extra chakra signatures were, and showing them unconscious under seals, all tucked neatly in a corner with people stacked either against or on top of each other. When the fallen angels saw this, they sent their eyes towards Naruto, who held the peace sign. How did you do this? Shouted Middle as she viewed the 100+ exorcists unconscious in the corner. At this, Naruto grinned towards them. Secret, muttered Naruto in a whisper, making sure the fallen had heard him. Finally getting towards the end of his patience, the man in the coat dashed towards him, aiming to slice Naruto in half with the glowing light blade, only for Naruto to duck slightly and slam a fist into the flying fallen angel, causing the man to continue flying past Naruto before falling into a roll while clutching onto his stomach. Turning his head towards the rest, Naruto watched as the girls created light spears to float above their heads. He also noticed Rainier had a twisted grin on her face as she held her multiple spears above her head. Isn't this a blast from the past, Naruto-kun? Asked Rainier in a sadistic tone, only making Naruto grin. Yeah, it is, replied Naruto as he summoned a kunai and chucked it at the fallen angels, completely missing them by going over their heads. Seeing this, Rainier chuckled along with the other 2. Well, here I thought you had some skill, now like I told Issei, will you die for me? Shouted Rainier as she and her team members sent their spears towards Naruto, who had simply grinned. No, spoke Naruto as he disappeared and reappeared where his kunai had sunk into the wall behind the angels. Pushing himself off the wall, Naruto grinned as he summoned a Rasengan in both hands. Rasengan! Boom! Two simultaneous blasts shook the currently caved-in building. Rainier had her eyes wide open as she stared at her team across from her. Her team member with the coat had been pierced by her light spears, killing him from the stabs, not the actual light properties, and both Millet and Calawarner were splattered against the wall with blood flowing out of their mouths with a spiral injury appearing on their backs. Suddenly, Rainier felt a weight on her shoulder. "You know that was stupidly easy," said Naruto as he looked at the destruction his Rasengan-propelled enemies made with their impact. However, he could feel them still alive, probably unconscious at most. Rainier narrowed her eyes in anger as she created a spear of light and attempted to slice Naruto in half, only for him to disappear and reappear behind her, kunai in a reverse grip. "You know what's funny, if it wasn't for you almost killing me I wouldn't remember who I was. Well, maybe when I almost died some other way I could have remembered. But I doubt that I will be dying anytime soon nowadays. But this is the end, and for what it's worth you dress like a whore," said Naruto as he swung his kunai into Rainier's temple, knocking her out with the ring of the kunai. Hearing the thump of Rainier's body hitting the floor, Naruto quickly created some clones to place knockout seal on the knocked out fallen angels, before he heard the one who had been pierced speak. "I'll kill you kill YYU and the BBLO blonde Jijigo," spoke the trenchcoat man. But before he could go through any more dialogue, Naruto threw his kunai towards the man, his kunai going right through the man's head with a little bit of wind chakra helping it. "No, you won't. I know from what I did I won't get any repercussion from this. After all, who would be friends with someone with anything but positive emotions? The most you would ever be is a man," spoke Naruto as he retrieved his kunai and a piece of paper where he used the substitution jutsu with the paper wrapped around his kunai. Looking at his kunai, Naruto sighed. "I really should have a small bit of clones attempting to create a Hiraishin seal, not the second Hokage's or my father's, but my own version with theirs as a base," muttered Naruto as he watched his clones seal all the exorcists' bodies along with the fallen angels into a scroll. Turning his head to the lone male body, Naruto went through some hand signs. Fire style, searing shot. With the hand signs completed, a small flamethrower like fire spat out from Naruto's mouth, burning the fallen angel's corpse and turning it into nothing but ash and dust. Turning around, Naruto caught the scroll thrown to him by a clone before it dispersed. Climbing out of the wreckage, Naruto dusted his pants off before disappearing in the wind, leaves blowing past the now destroyed church. Clearing. Naruto's clones in Asia were currently building a decently large house that spread across the clearing that held both a lot of backyard room and a decently large lake. Asia was currently handing the Narutos some supplies that had been placed in the scrolls for easier carry. So currently the clones were the ones building the building and Asia was their messenger/supplier, as she took specific scrolls to clones that needed them. Suddenly all the clones stopped, worrying Asia as they all snapped their heads towards one end of the forest, which then got pushed to the side showing a grinning Naruto with 12 boxes of noodles and chicken. Seeing this, the clones cheered and grabbed a box from Naruto, causing Asia to tilt her head as Naruto sat beside her. Naruto-kun, why did you give your clones some food? They told me that they were only made from an energy that you have and that they didn't need to eat or drink," asked Asia as she accepted a box of noodles given to her by Naruto. At the question, Naruto grinned slightly. "You're sure they don't need to eat? They can if they want. Besides, if they eat they can regain some chakra, or in better words, produce chakra, the energy I used to create them, allowing them to keep themselves alive for the better part, plus it means that I respect my clones. I mean, sure they have to listen to me, but I really enjoy having them. You see, each clone has their own personality, so while they do have my body, they have their own personality, making each individual. So, I treat them as such. But another reason for why I do this is because of something that happened to me when I viewed a clone's dreams. It wasn't pretty," spoke Naruto as he chuckled slightly, remembering an image of him being held captive by 4 clone versions of him during the early stage of the war. Hearing his story, Asia grinned before she started to eat her noodles with a joyful expression. For the next few hours, both Naruto and his clones finished building the building with Asia helping them out. Sweating slightly, Naruto nailed the final nail and gave out a sigh. "Well done, guys, all that's left is to place the furniture, and we'll be done," spoke Naruto as he opened the door that led to the inside where Asia was currently helping another clone by giving him tools when requested, before the clone plopped down and muttered a quick finished, making Naruto laugh slightly at his clone, ignoring the fact that he was actually laughing at himself. Watching as Asia walked towards him, Naruto slang an arm around Asia's shoulders, causing the small blonde to smile up at him. "So Asia-chan, you ready to pick a room?" asked Naruto with a grin, which slowly turned into a confused expression when Asia's eyes widened and began tearing. Removing his arm, Naruto moved to face Asia front on, confusion written upon his face as he looked towards Asia. Asia-chan, you okay? Asked Naruto as the little blonde started to cry. But before Naruto could continue to ask Asia what was wrong, Naruto quickly caught Asia, who wrapped her arms around his neck. Her tears fell through the fabric of his blazer and undershirt. Thank you so much, Naruto-kun, shouted Asia, clutching onto Naruto even more as she raised her face off from his shoulder, showing the glowing green eyes with small bits of water on the edges. Smiling slightly, Naruto only wrapped his arms around Asia and held her closer as he stared at Asia's cute face. What for? As far as I'm concerned, I'm just helping a friend. Besides, it's slightly my fault that I destroyed the place you were supposed to go, but at least this way you're safe from those fallen angels, replied Naruto as he let go of Asia, who looked up at Naruto slightly. So which room do you want? Asked Naruto with a raised eyebrow as he remembered the formation of his house, being 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, large living room/kitchen, a large study room near the master bedroom, and what this world called a theater/gaming room. Then there was also the underground training field he has some of his clones currently creating, using seals to make sure that his house doesn't fall from the loss of dirt underneath his house, along with putting up resistance seals to his own design just for precautions. Naruto blinked when Asia pointed towards him. You, spoke Asia, causing the reborn ninja to tilt his head slightly. Me? Asked Naruto, still not getting what Asia was referring to. I said I want to sleep with you. Back where I came from, all of us did it, and I just feel comfortable with it, replied Asia, rubbing her thighs together as she looked away. Lucky for her, her nun outfit covered her activity. Blinking, Naruto nodded with a smile. Okay then, I'll have a second bed put into the main room then, said Naruto as he and his clones began to refurbish the house. Within a couple of minutes, the entire newly created house was fully refurbished. Walking across the brown wooden floor, Naruto yawned as he dispelled his clones, getting all their memories and their exhaustion as he did so. As he walked towards the living room, Naruto found Asia sitting there politely and waiting for him. Walking up to her, Naruto sat down and rubbed her head affectionately. Hey Asia-chan, would you like to go to the school I go to? It has a female-to-male ration of 10-1, so it should be easy for you to make some friends, while also being safe from perverts, said Naruto, gaining an excited look from Asia as she clasped her hands together in joy. Yes, Naruto-kun, yes. Oh, this is definitely the work of God. Me being able to meet you and become friends, to you also lending me a place to stay. Thank you, father, said the blonde nun as she done her prayer, causing Naruto's right eye to twitch when Asia thought it was God who told Naruto to do the things that he did. Looking towards a window while Asia wasn't looking, Naruto sent the middle finger out of the window towards the sky, only to blink where he saw the clouds shifting into a face and grin at him, before turning back into regular clouds with random shapes. Naruto stared at the clouds for a few more moments, still kind of in shock at seeing the clouds do that, before shaking his head and summoning another clone. Yo! Mind doing me a quick favor and register Asia's into our school, and also make it so that she is reported to be in our year in class, just so that we can make sure she's safe most of the time. Seeing the clone nod, Naruto gave a thumbs up and smile as the clone left, taking a cookie from the counter that Asia had been eating from before. Shaking his head at his clone, Naruto looked towards Asia, who looked down towards her cloths. Naruto-kun, I didn't have my sleeping cloths with me, as churches give the nuns their cloths when they arrive. Do you think that? Asked Asia with her twiddling her thumbs as she looked nervous a bit. Naruto simply raised a hand up, before he disappeared within a blink of the eye, before returning a few moments later, bag in hand full of sleeping cloths for women. Scratching the back of his head slightly with his free hand, Naruto gave a sheepish laugh. Sorry if they don't fit, I didn't really remember to get your sizes and I may have tripped an alarm when I appeared in the middle of the mall, so yes, sorry about that, Asia-chan, said Naruto as he handed Asia the bag full of sleepwear, causing the blonde to smile at him and give a small hug. It's okay, Naruto-kun, thank you, said Asia as she went to the nearest bathroom, not too far from the large kitchen/living room. As soon as Asia left, Naruto's clone appeared, holding a pair of documents. I've done what you asked. I also took the liberty of making hundreds of copies of every document we got, including the document that shows that we bought this property. They're all sealed in these document holders, said the clone, getting a nod from the original, who poked his head towards the cookies his clone kept glancing at. You can have a cookie, good job. Seeing the original nod his head, the clone dashed towards the cookies, shoving 2 cookies into his mouth before he dispersed himself, causing the original to chuckle. Turning his head to the clock, Naruto looked at the time, showing only 9:45 p.m. Giving out a small sigh, Naruto walked outside his new home before summoning 600 clones. Okay guys, current update. Our chakra is slightly lower than when we battled Kurama in a chakra tug-of-war. Good news is that our chakra control has become worth our time, as I can tell our control from a week of training is around mid-jonin to high-jonin. Soon enough we will be able to match our chakra amount with our control, but I doubt it would be any time in the next 2 weeks, maybe 3 if we have 100 clones still doing chakra control exercises, something I'm probably going to do, as it would allow us to delve into the medical and illusion field. Spoke Naruto, rubbing his forehead slightly as he continued to think out his training. Anyway, I want 100 of you guys to go into water walking and tree walking, while I want 5 groups of 50 to work on the basic 5 elements, with 150 perfecting the Toad Kata. Then I want the rest to practice some more on Fuinjutsu along with placing seals around the house. Another thing I forgot to mention is that when we get our chakra and chakra control to the right mix, we will be training in both Senjutsu and in both Kurama's and Hagoromo's chakra, which I have found still stuck within me, only this time we have a lot less of Kurama's chakra as it's only the part we got from him during the chakra tug-of-war. I missed the furry bastard, but anyway, good luck with your objectives. I'm going to sleep now on second thought. Have some clones also make sure there isn't anything particularly nasty around the forest and lake. Don't want to be water walking and be eaten by a shark or something, either a snake bit in the forest around the area. Spoke Naruto as he walked back inside, closing the door behind him as his clones began to do their objective. Yawning, Naruto walked toward the master bedroom and called out to Asia. Asia-chan, I'm going to bed, okay? And we'll get your school uniform tomorrow, said Naruto with a yawn in between his sentence as he jumped onto the bed, instantly falling asleep when his head hit the pillow. But I don't want to Kurama, it's not my fault Matatabi seduced you, I'm not going to screw with her newest Jinchuriki. Do you want my Ka-chan's chains to hook you to a moon again? Yeah, that's what I thought, you furry bastard. What do you mean I'm going to be late for SHIT? Woke up the startled Naruto, his eyes snapping open and instantly shifting to his left, reading the time of 7:20 a.m. Plenty of time, thought Naruto as he released a sigh before he felt something on his chest. Moving his head down so that his chin was touching his chest, Naruto came upon the sight of Asia's blonde hair sprawled all around Naruto's chest with her body wrapped around his, from what he could feel anyway, seeing as how the blanket was there restricting the view. Lifting his left hand up, Naruto started to rub Asia's head, slowly waking the blonde girl up from her slumber. Hey Asia, we gotta get ready soon, remember? School, muttered Naruto in a soft tone, slowly awaking Asia, who simply lifted her head and saw Naruto's blonde spiky hair and blue eyes and whisker marks. Can't forget those. Morning, Naruto-kun, spoke Asia, as she lowered her head back to Naruto's chest, intent to fall asleep once more. Seeing this, Naruto had to resort to option 2 when faced with these situations. Lifting himself up, Naruto made sure to wrap his arms around Asia's small blue sleeping gown and carried her towards the kitchen/living room. Having created a clone, Naruto quickly used the substitution jutsu to swap places with his clone, who was all too happy to start patting Asia's head, making the smaller blonde squeal in joy at random moments. Summoning 2 Kagebushins, Naruto left towards the shower, quickly cleaning himself as he wanted to get to school early to make sure Asia had all her classes that she could with him. Feeling the water droplets hitting his skin felt nice. Using a heating seal made the water at a very nice heat as it dropped from the shower head and hit the occupant, making sure that while the water is nice and warm, it's not too hot either. Quickly getting out, Naruto then proceeded to dry his spiky hair with a towel, making sure that there wasn't any water within his blonde mane. Quickly chucking on his black pants and orange shirt, Naruto walked out of the room, his black blazer sitting on top of his shoulder as he walked towards the kitchen, where the sounds of Asia eating was heard. Walking into the room, Naruto couldn't help but smile slightly as Asia was eating many different dishes that he knew for breakfast. Standing on the edge of the wall for about a minute, completely missed by Asia, Naruto felt a clone tap him on the shoulder and open a bag that held the girl's uniform for Ko. Nodding to his clones and giving him the instructions to disperse, Naruto walked behind Asia's chair and covered her eyes with 2 hands. Guess who? Asked Naruto, making his voice seem very old. Unfortunately, Asia knew who it was. Hello, Naruto-kun, said Asia as she turned in her chair to look at Naruto, who held her new school cloths in front of him and low enough so that Asia could see what was in the bag. Naruto grinned slightly as he widened the bag further. I got your new school uniform. So how about we leave early today and set you up for school? Asked Naruto, getting a nod from Asia. Okay, replied Asia as she took the bag from Naruto's hands and walked out of the kitchen/living room, and into the closest bathroom. In the next 10 minutes, both Asia and Naruto are sitting at the front of the school with Naruto having a narrowed glare towards the ground, Asia patting him on the back. "It's okay, Naruto-kun, just because we're only in mentor together doesn't mean you can't protect me. Besides, the Lord's faithful guidance will warn you if I'm in danger," said Asia as she hugged Naruto, getting some looks from the other students before they shook their head and got on to their own business. Naruto simply grinned at Asia's answer. "Yes, sure he will, but you're right, if you are ever in true danger, I will be there to help you, Databayo, believe it." At that, Asia smiled and stood up, ready for first day of school. "Let's go, Naruto-kun," shouted Asia as she jumped up and down in an excited fashion, causing Naruto to widen his smile. "Okay," replied Naruto, holding Asia's hand as they walk into the front of the school, catching the attention of a certain red-haired woman who looked at Asia in a critical view. "May have a sacred gear, lucky I managed to have the girls' classes rearranged so that I or my peerage members were in most of her classes. Now how to approach, I can't take as much time with Riser coming any week now, I might have to give myself to Issei to break out of it if necessary," mumbled Rias to herself, biting one of her fingernails as she watched as both Naruto and Asia walked up the stairs, causing Rias to stare at the blonde reborn ninja. "What are you, Naruto?" asked Rias out loud as she saw both him and the new student Asia disappear around the corner. Kiba called out Rias, watching as her blonde knight appeared within a few moments. "I need you to keep Naruto away from the new student Asia as much as possible. From what I guess, she holds a sacred gear, however, I'm not sure which one," spoke Rias as she kept her eyes glued to the last location she could see both Naruto and Asia. Kiba nodded. "It will be done, Bucho," replied Kiba before he left. With that done, Rias looked back at her table, a chess board with multiple pieces still missing with only a few on it. "It's not enough," muttered Rias once more, before leaving for the showers in the clubhouse, aiming to let some stress soak out of her body. 1 hour later. Currently, Naruto was drawing in his book, the image of Konoha from his father's head on the Hokage monument. After seeing Konoha from that view, he had gotten a near-perfect picture image of it, making it easier for Naruto to draw it with perfect accuracy. "Psst, hey Naruto," came a voice behind him. Turning his head around, he noticed that it was Issei who spoke to him. Since when was Issei in this class? Yo?" asked Naruto, completely not sure how to talk as he practically dropped Issei as a friend since the pervert didn't talk to him after being a devil. Issei rubbed his head slightly and chuckled nervously. "Do you know who that new blonde chick is? Looks so cute and I wanted to have a shot at her," asked Issei with a slight laugh, which slowly died down after seeing the blank look on Naruto's face, which secretly stated, "I'm going to prank you, and when I do, you will not leave your house due to the shame." Before he turned around and continued his drawing, causing Issei to have a small waterfall tears appearing on his face. 1 hour later. Currently we find Naruto walking across the town, hands in pockets as he walked towards a regular sweet shop he regularly visited as he ditched the last period of class via a Kaigabushin taking his place. This was also the method he used to make sure Asia was safe in all her classes. Seeing the sweet store, Naruto removed his right hand from his pocket and pushed the door open. The ringing bell announced his arrival. "Naruto! How's it going, my boy? I heard you got evicted. Those bastards in the government don't know left from right," grumbled an old man about the age 60 or so. The man had tan skin which he probably got through working in the sun a lot when he was younger. He also had very short black hair with black eyes along with a bit of chin hair which was gray. The man's build also helped tell that he used to work in places with physical requirements, as the man's arms were quite large, which strained his small t-shirt as it couldn't wrap around the man's arms. "Hey Mateso, how's the family?" asked Naruto with a wave as he stood in the front of the desk, ignoring the fact that he could feel 2 signatures appear in his mind. The man simply grinned. "Oh, you know, regular stuff, although my granddaughter is going to high school next year, maybe you could help her when she goes to Ko for your last year," spoke the man with a cheesy grin on his face, causing Naruto to simply give out a huff, smile still on his face, before he looked to where he felt the 2 signatures. When Naruto turned his head, he looked at 2 small girls, both with blonde hair. The girl on the right had dark blue eyes and long blonde hair tied into twin tails with large drill-like curls with blue ribbons keeping them in place. The front of her hair has multiple bangs hanging over her forehead with a V-shaped fringe hanging over the bridge of her nose. She also appeared to like the princess appeal as she wore a pink dress with white accents along with a magenta bow near her neck. She also appeared to wear pink shoes with white fairly socks that jutted up from her shoes. The smaller blonde to the left, however, had yellow eyes and a cute face. Her hair was covering most of her face, with her fringe covering a bit of her eyes and her cheeks. She also had her hair spiking out from behind her head, while still having most of her hair conceal her head. She wore a traditional Miko outfit with a large star surrounded by 5 smaller stars on her long sleeves. She also wore some sandals with socks. Turning his head back to Mateso, Naruto jabbed a thumb to the 2 sad-looking girls. "What's up with them?" asked Naruto, getting a small chuckle from the old man. "They came in about an hour ago but didn't have any money on them, so I gave them a few samples, then they got upset that I couldn't give them any more for free, so they sat there upset, probably waiting for their parents or something," spoke the man as he walked away to the back to take out the next batch of cookies. Turning his head once more towards the 2 girls, who seemed to fall into an even bigger depression at waiting so long, Naruto grinned slightly before walking up to them. Holding his hand out, Naruto began to introduce himself. "Hi, my name is Na. Go away, peasant," spoke the blonde with the twin tails framing her face, causing Naruto to twitch his eyebrow at the girl, before moving his hand to the smaller blonde and restarted. "Hi there, my name is Naruto Uzumaki. Would you like me to get you some sweets? The old man told me you were stuck here for an hour, and it just seems rude no one offered to buy you any sweets," said Naruto as he held his hand out to the girl, who sent an aura that he was quite familiar with. The little blonde with gold eyes stared at Naruto for a moment, before nodding her head and taking his hand to be pulled up off her seat, before she spoke. "Thank you, my name is Kunu and I'm a 9-tailed fox," said the little girl in a cute voice, causing some of the people eating to stop and eye out what she said she was. Now, while everyone awed, Naruto went ramrod straight, before shaking his head, making sure to remember to ask her later about that, seeing as she had yokai, which Kurama had told him was just condensed chakra. To a point, it wasn't chakra, but an evolved form of chakra that the Bija had, thanks to the 10 tails. Putting on a smile, Naruto held Kuna's hand and walked towards the counter, turning his head back to the other blonde. "The option is still available if you want," replied Naruto, not very shocked when he felt the other blonde appear to his right nearly a second later, causing him to chuckle and make the blonde blush in embarrassment. "Yo, Mateso, I'm buying for these 2, okay? They can have whatever they want," said Naruto as he and the 2 smaller blondes got closer to the front desk, causing the man to grin evilly. "Oh, are you sure, Naruto?" asked Mateso with a grin stretching his face, as he looked towards Naruto. Seeing this, Naruto just nodded hesitantly, only to watch as Mateso pulled out 4 large bags filled to the brim with lollies, with 2 more neatly sorted bags full with cakes and pastries. "Are you sure now?" asked the man with a grin, noticing the 2 girls looking down as to expect another person to run out of the shop. "Sure, can I also have a golden mud cake with 4 boxes of dango?" asked Naruto as he pulled out 700 yen, 1 yen equals $1, and placed it on the counter, causing the 2 smaller blondes to look at him in shock, before the blonde who called herself a Kyubi jumped onto his back. "Yai, you're my new best friend," shouted the golden-eyed child, who was now strangling Naruto with her reverse hug, which Naruto didn't seem to mind as he used wind chakra to replace the needed oxygen his body required. The other blonde that Naruto hadn't gotten their names simply stared at Naruto with shock for a few moments, before she hugged him. "You better be happy that someone of my prestige is hugging you," muttered the girl, before letting go and looking at him. "My name is Ravel Phoenix," spoke Ravel as she turned her head to the mountain of pastries and sweets. Naruto looked at the 6 or so large bags with a grin, then sweat dropped when his order was placed in a separate bag to the left, with Mateso giving him an evil grin. "You can keep the change," said Naruto with a slight squeak, causing the man to grin as he placed his order in one of the large bags. Naruto sent the old man a small glare before picking up all 6 bags, 3 on each hand, surprising a few people there as they decided they wanted to try see how heavy it was and could barely lift a single bag a millimeter off the table. Must be why the old man put everything in the bags on the counter, as he filled them up. Turning around, Naruto walked towards the door, kicking it open as he couldn't use his hands, causing both Ravel and Kunu to sweat drop slightly as they were going to open the door for him. Walking behind Naruto, they watched in surprise as he went into an alleyway, making the 2 girls jumpy as they followed after him and their sweets. However, when they went into the alleyway, they watched in shock as 2 identical copies of Naruto appeared and took the bags of sweats. Naruto then turned to them and motioned them to come towards him. "Okay, since I don't exactly want to be walking around with that much sweats, I'm going to take you 2 to my house to eat them, okay? But I need you 2 to hold my hand as I will be making us move at an incredibly fast speed to reach the location. It's just outside of the city," said Naruto as he held his hands out for both of the blondes. Watching as both gave their hands, Naruto gave a slight grin before disappearing with the two girls. Naruto's house. Appearing not a moment later, Naruto watched as the two blondes started to walk like the floor was moving, before standing up straight without any signs of dizziness shown. Smiling, Naruto clapped his hands together. Okay, so we can either eat here outside of my house, or we can eat inside. You can choose, said Naruto as he crossed his arms over his chest, a gnawing feeling appearing in the back of his head for some reason. Inside, both said simultaneously. Nodding, Naruto went towards the front door and sent a burst of chakra, making the door open without any problem. Walking inside, Naruto took his shoes off and left them at the front as he walked towards the large living room/kitchen. Seeing his two clones, Naruto waved them off after they had neatly placed the sweets and pastries into categories and groups, making it easier for them to pick and choose. Turning his head around, Naruto noticed both Kunu and Revel staring at the quite large house with slight awe, before they quickly caught up with Naruto and jumped onto the couches, shocked at how comfy it was. Chuckling slightly, Naruto moved the sweets onto the coffee table with some plates for the two girls, who instantly dug in. Chuckling slightly, Naruto ate his dango quite slowly, enjoying the flavor as he bit into the small ball covered in sauce. Soon the entire sets of pastries were gone, along with all the sweets, mostly consumed by Revel, much to her embarrassment. However, most of the pastries went to Kunu in that regard, who also mimicked Revel in embarrassment blushes. Putting down his plate, Naruto sent the two a small grin. So you two, enjoy yourselves? Asked Naruto, getting a nod from both girls, before his face went slightly curious. So why was there a devil and yokai in a sweet shop? Asked Naruto, getting the two girls to widen their eyes, before Kunu jumped at his face, prepared to scratch it to smithereens while Revel summoned some fire around her hand. Naruto simply grabbed Kunu under her armpits and held her away from his face, now noticing the claws she had along with the 9 golden tails wagging around her behind. Hey, calm down, I was just asking a question, damn it! Shouted Naruto with a sighish tone as he felt the small apparent 9 tails calm down in his hands, along with Revel, who dismissed her flames. Giving out a slight huff, Naruto lowered Kunu onto the soft couch, making sure her tails didn't get squished underneath her. Sitting back down, Naruto began to ask them questions. So I guess you weren't joking about being a 9-tailed fox, Kunu-chan. Is there a chance that you know of a Kurama if there is more of you? Asked Naruto, looking at the golden-eyed blonde, who simply shook her head. I have never heard of a Kurama. There is only 2 Kyubis, and that's me and my mother. My father was just apparently a young human she met, spoke Kunu. Naruto gave a small sad sigh, before looking at Revel. So I know that Kunu-chan here is a Kyubi, and I know that you're a devil, but what are you specifically? Asked Naruto, only to get a huff from the girl. How you don't know who I am already tells me you're a weaker being, after all. All devils know of the Phoenix clan. You know, the clan that is held highly due to us being nearly impossible to kill with our super regeneration and our supreme control over both fire and wind. Like a phoenix, how do you not know of us? Asked Revel when she saw that Naruto only looked at her blankly. Because I'm human, said Naruto, causing both devil and fox to widen their eyes. Bullshit! Shouted both girls, causing Naruto to widen his eyes in slight fright when both jumped at him. Landing on the ground, Naruto had both blondes start poking and prodding him all over. What are you, damn it? Screamed Revel as she pulled Naruto's face with Kunu pulling on Naruto's arm. I am human, spoke Naruto in between the pulling of his face, before he substituted with a pillow, causing the girls to widen their eyes in shock. You're a magician, pointed out Revel, Kunu nodding in agreement, even if they have never heard of magic that allows you to swap places with another object. It's not magic, it's a type of energy I was born with, how most humans have it, but without someone like me to strengthen their own energy, they won't be able to use any of it. But there is also the fact that I'm a lot stronger than any human around these parts, spoke Naruto, causing the girls to give up with a sigh. Fine, don't tell us. Both spoke in a synchronized tone, causing Naruto to sweat drop. But before anything else could happen, an orange circle appeared in the middle of the room, causing Revel to look towards it. Soon the orange circle glowed slightly, showing a man in a red suit standing in the middle of it. The man had blonde spiky hair with dark blue eyes, however, without even a look Naruto could tell this was a Sasuke wannabe. Hey, you know Sasuke, you know every asshole copycat. Revel, who you choose to go to the human world I will never understand. We have plenty of sweets at home, honestly the air here is so unpure and disgusting, muttered the man as he looked around, before looking directly at Naruto. Oh, and what's this? A human revel? You're standing near a human? What is wrong with you to be standing near this piece of trash? Strike 1. Honestly, he looks stupid. What possessed you to be around this poor excuse of a man? Strike 2. The man then looked towards Kunu with a bored look. Oh, what's this? A weak and pathetic Kyubi? What reason would you have to be near these unworthy peasants? The whole Fox clan is nearly gone, and a lowly human who should be begging you to be around you. Finished the man with his arms crossed. Strike 3, 4, 5, 6 and a million. Bam! The man was sent through the front of Naruto's house by Naruto's fist. Turning to Revel, Naruto gave a small sheepish wave. Sorry, said Naruto, confusion Revel. Why? Asked Revel, only to widen her eyes as Naruto gave an evil grin. I'm going to kick the dude's ass all over the place. You mind giving me his name? Asked Naruto, feeling the man's presence finally returning to the clearing. He's my older brother, Riser Phoenix. You shouldn't fight him, and he has never lost in a fight, especially to a human. Finished Revel, who simply saw Naruto wave his hand. Meh, don't worry. They'll kick his ass around. So sorry about doing this to your brother, but if he was a good brother he would not have made insults to you and your friend, said Naruto before he disappeared with both Revel and Kunu moving to the front of the house, only to watch as both Naruto and Riser were surrounded by a barrier created by seals. Inside the barrier, Riser had a glare full of hatred directed towards Naruto as flames surrounded him. You pathetic human! How dare you attack me, Riser Phoenix! Shouted Riser as he dashed towards Naruto, who simply tilted his head slightly, dodging the blow. I dunno, how about you were and still are acting like a bastard with a fucking pole shoved up his ass. Now that I think about it, you would represent a yakitori dish to near perfection. Chicken with a stick shoved up its ass, yeah, you defiantly fit that, spoke Naruto as he jumped out of the way from a fireball that exploded at his original battle position. You peasant! Screamed Riser, dashing towards Naruto with flaming wings trailing behind him, causing Naruto to stare at the man with a raised eyebrow. Flamed wings? Are you trying to cook yourself or something so I can put you up for a yakitori dish? Asked Naruto as he slid under Riser, gripping Riser's ankle as he did so, before changing from a slide into a throwing position, sending Riser straight into the barrier. Riser's glare intensified. Soon, multiple circles appeared around him, and soon after, a group of women appeared. Attack the human bastard, shouted Riser, leading the charge of the group, causing Naruto to simply grin. Ah, look at that. Little Yakitori has a group of girls probably stronger than him if what I've seen is an indication, said Naruto, grin firmly in place as he tilted his head as magic flew by him. Looking to his left, he saw a cat girl jump at him while the other jumped at him from the other side, easily picked up by Naruto's sensory prowess. Throwing his left hand out, Naruto caught one of the cat girls by the throat before chucking the girl towards the sky, hitting the strongest looking woman there and caused both of them to smash into the barrier, completely knocked out due to the force. Crouching down and twisting himself, Naruto threw his legs straight into the air, hitting the other cat girl in the stomach and sending her towards the sky, before jumping up and landing a heel kick to her spine, sending the poor girl against the hard ground, creating a dust cloud that blocked the other's view. Twisting around in the air, Naruto held a tiger sign before spitting out hundreds of fireballs all around the barrier, completely at random. Soon the sounds and screams caused by explosions were heard by Naruto, who flipped himself to land in a crouch, before sinking into the ground, dust clouds still making it impossible to view him. Now Riser was scared. His entire peerage, if what he could hear, was defeated with barely any effort from the human's part. Suddenly, Riser felt the ground below him rumble slightly, before he felt two hands wrap around his ankles and drag him into the earth. His eyes widened with absolute fear of being buried alive. However, his head stopped sinking once his neck was completely hidden beneath the earth, causing him to release a slight sigh when he felt himself stop sinking, before he felt a kick to his face. Looking up, Riser felt fear in the first time. Not only did a human defeat him, but he had almost killed him as well, if being stuck up to his neck in dirt said anything. Yo, teriyaki chicken. Shouldn't you, I dunno, be teaching this human a lesson? Asked Naruto with a cheeky grin on his face with a single eyebrow raised, causing the man in the ground to go from a fearful expression to one of anger and hate. I order you to release me! Screamed Riser from his position, only to cause Naruto to smirk, before Naruto snapped his fingers, sending his previous dust cloud away, showing the reinforcements Riser had called upon knocked out with scrapes and flames all across the floor. Naruto then turned back towards Riser. So? You were going to order me? Asked Naruto, causing Riser to grit his teeth in anger. Naruto-san, called out a voice towards his house. Turning around, Naruto saw Revel shouting. Yeah, Revel? Asked Naruto with his arms crossed and one foot on top of Riser's head, only making the man more furious. Can you please just let my Nai-san get out of here? I have to go anyway, spoke Revel, only watching as Naruto gave a small nod and wave, dispersing the barrier around him. Sure, but you will probably have to take him home like that. I don't trust the dude not to attempt to burn down my house or attack me, replied Naruto in a bored tone, getting a nod as Revel summoned circles to take Riser's peerage back home. She then stood on a summoning seal herself with Riser's head being next to her. However, before she could go, Naruto spoke. Feel free to drop by Revel-chan, shouted Naruto with a grin that only enlarged when Revel blushed slightly. Maybe, spoke Revel as she and Riser, along with his peerage, disappeared. Turning around, Naruto walked towards the shell-shocked Kunu and rubbed her head, snapping her out of her shock. Hey Kunu-chan, wanna go to the school I go to? Asked Naruto, getting a nod from the little Nine Tails, before Naruto stood ramrod straight. Never mind Rias, you and your peerage get out now, spoke Naruto holding Kunu's hand within his own, causing the little kitsune to smile slightly at the warmth feeling she felt. Soon Rias and her peerage dropped down from the trees, shock written upon their faces, but what shocked Naruto was the odd aura he felt from one of the devils. Asia, muttered Naruto as he looked at the blonde girl standing near Rias with a grin. Hey Naruto-kun. Bucho told me how I could now help you by being a devil even though I didn't want to be a devil. I wanted to help protect you, shouted Asia as she jumped at Naruto and wrapped her arms around his neck. Naruto wrapping a single arm around her waist. Naruto then mumbled into Asia's shoulder, causing the small blonde to giggle slightly. Naruto then lowered Asia back to the ground while still holding on to Kuna's hand, before looking towards Rias's peerage, who seemed to be still in shock, well other than Kiba and Issei, who had no idea why Rias and the others were shocked at who Naruto had just beaten near instantly. Naruto then turned towards Asia. Hey Asia, can you take little Kunu around the house for a tour? Asked Naruto, getting a nod from the newest devil within Rias's peerage. Looking at Kunu with a smile, Naruto moved her hand from his to Asia's, who then took Kuna's hand and walked inside the house, ignoring the fact that the front part of the house where Naruto sent Riser through was already fixed. Naruto then looked towards Rias for a moment, before appearing right in front of her with a narrowed glare. Why, better yet, how did you recruit Asia without me knowing? Asked Naruto shinobi mode on full pelt as he looked into Rias's eyes, slightly getting lost in them for a moment, before hardening his own. However, Rias couldn't answer as she kept on mumbling. Naruto, Riser, engagement beaten, muttered Rias, still completely in shock. Until Naruto pinched her cheek, causing her to gasp out. Ouch! What the hell? Shouted Rias as she punched Naruto in the face, only for him to dodge and keep pinching her soft cheeks. Stop pinching my cheek! Shouted Rias as she sent punches and kicks towards the bored Naruto, who simply dodged with barely any effort. Why did you recruit Asia? Asked Naruto, getting Rias to stop her punches and kicks. Because I need as much help as possible, whispered Rias as she looked at the damage Naruto had caused within the span of a minute. Letting go of her cheek, Naruto summoned a silence barrier around the two of them, causing Rias's peerage members to attempt to attack the barrier, only to get repulsed at each attempt. Why do you need help, Rias? Asked Naruto, his arms crossed with a serious expression appearing on his face. I'm being forced into a marriage, muttered Rias, tears appearing in the corners of her eyes as she moved her head down, only to be lifted up by her chin. Who forced you and who are you marrying? Asked Naruto with a calm tone. Rias's lips started to tremble as her body started to shake. My family, and I'm supposed to marry Riser Phoenix, the man you just fought, spoke Rias, finally breaking into tears, which were soon wiped away from her eyes by Naruto as he looked into Rias's bluish-green eyes. Is there any way to get you out of it? Asked Naruto with a softer expression on his face as he looked into Rias's eyes. At this, Rias moved her eyes away from Naruto's. Yes, there's either me battling Riser in what we devils call a raiding game, or I lose my virginity to someone, spoke Rias, causing Naruto to have a slight flashback to his previous life. You don't need to do this, Shizuka. It's your life, your choice, shouted Naruto as he stood across from a kunoichi from Nadeshiko. I must, replied the female across from him. I have no choice, said the female as she charged at him. Naruto closed his eyes for a few moments. I saved Shizuka from a similar fate. I won't let you go through it no matter how much I want to punch your face. Rias, think of this as a thank you for letting me become who I was from my near death. Snapping his eyes open, Naruto gave a slight grin. Okay, is there a way for me to help without becoming a devil? Asked Naruto with a grin as he looked at the stunned Rias, who had tears once again spilling. Naruto muttered Rias, her head down, causing her amazing red hair to cover her face. Yes? Asked Naruto with a raised eyebrow. Thank you? Shouted Rias, jumping up and kissing Naruto on the lips, shocking Rias's entire peerage from outside of the barrier, along with Asia and Kuna, who walked out at that moment. Now, don't let it be said Naruto didn't enjoy it, because right now, the inner pervert Jiraiya had grew in the previous life jumped out, causing him to wrap his arms around Rias's waist as both he and Rias kissed. Yeah. No, I'm not making them a couple for this moment. This is just Rias expressing herself to the person who can practically end her forced engagement near instantly just by saying yes. Soon the kiss ended with Rias smiling up at Naruto. To answer your question. Yes, there are a few ways, but they are mostly for devils who want to have another devil battle for them in raiding games. Spoke Rias, causing Naruto to nod his head. Okay, but just so we are clear, you now have a responsibility of protecting Asia along with myself. So if Asia is with you and for some reason I'm not, I expect her to be safe, something I know you can do. Spoke Naruto, before he looked towards the shocked peerage. As a request though, I would like to train your peerage, no offense, but they seemed really shocked that I defeated Riser within a few minutes. Replied Naruto, looking at Rias's peerage with a blank look, causing Rias to sigh slightly. Including yourself, said Naruto in an afterthought, causing Rias to huff. Fine, muttered Rias, annoyed that she has to be trained by a human of all things. You know I can sense his emotions, right? It's the only reason why I haven't just attacked you and your group for pretty much 1. Leaving me to die. 2. Kicking me out of my house. And finally 3. Turning little Asia into a devil, although that last one does make me want to hit you, but at least this way Asia can make more friends, muttered Naruto before he remembered something. Oh, you might want to also let go of me as well, Rias. Issei looks like he's going to blow a gasket at the way you're hugging me. Spoke Naruto with a grin upon his face as he looked towards Issei with a peace sign. This made Rias blush slightly, before letting him go. Feeling Rias let go, Naruto snapped his fingers once more, allowing the silencing barrier fall. So how do we do this? Asked Naruto with his arms crossed with Rias mimicking the action. Blood oath. Rias replied simply as she held a piece of paper out, soon covered by her energy. Seeing this, Naruto brought one of his thumbs up to his mouth before using chakra to sharpen his canine. Biting the soft skin part of his thumb, Naruto forced his body's healing rate down enough so that he could put some blood onto the paper Rias held in front of him. Watching as the blood dripped onto the paper, Rias then held out a night piece towards it, before looking up towards Naruto. A piece is essential, as without it, you wouldn't be classified under my peerage during raiding games or battles. But this also lets you choose if you wish to join in on battles or simply watch. Either way, you get the ability to travel wherever the Gremlins are able to without others attempting to kill you for it. Finished Rias as the night piece sank into the paper, which then shot onto Naruto's right wrist, wrapping itself to his skin before sinking in and leaving the mark of Gremlin on the top of his right wrist. Blinking, Naruto stared down at his wrist for a few moments before looking up at Rias. Do I have to do the delivery thing all devils have to do? I mean, since I'm not technically a devil, I don't have to do that like the magic seal told me, right? Asked Naruto as he saw the Gremlin seal pulse a bit. Rias chuckled evilly. Yes, you do. Consider this payback for making all my plans of making your life a little difficult backfiring and making life better for you, said Rias with an evil tone, causing Naruto to simply huff. Oh well, the seal also told me that I gain more strength from handing out seals and getting contracts. Well then, do you have any on you? Asked Naruto, faking the sad dramatic tone he was putting on, not that any other person there could tell. Rias grinned. Sure I do, right here, said Rias, summoning 100 flyers right in front of Naruto, who changed his sad expression to a very happy expression. Great! Shouted Naruto. Kagebushin no Jutsu. Soon the newly formed clones each had a paper and left, causing Rias's peerage to drop their jaw at the sight of hundreds of Naruto leaving. Grinning, Naruto turned around and walked inside, sure to give a little wave as he left. However, he stopped when he saw Kuna walking towards the forest herself. Changing course, Naruto appeared behind the little Kyuubi and rubbed her head, making the girl jump in slight shock. Hey, you weren't going to leave with your mummy without saying see ya later, were you? Asked Naruto with a small grin as he went down on one knee and rubbed the fox ears of the girl. As Sia spoke Kunu in a happy tone, before she walked off into the heavy bush area and disappeared, while Naruto did detect another being with a very similar aura just grab Kunu and run off. Turning around back towards his house, Naruto's eye twitched as he felt Rias's peerage walk around his house with Asia leading them. Is it because I'm sort of in her peerage that she and her friends are allowed to enter my house? Muttered Naruto to himself, as he walked inside his house to see all of Rias's peerage at the kitchen table with knives and forks. Raising an eyebrow, Naruto caught the sight of Asia looking at him pleadingly. Naruto-kun, can you please make some dinner for my new friends? Asked Asia with her big green eyes glowing, causing Naruto to sigh. Walking up towards the backyard door, Naruto summoned a single clone, who then began cooking while Naruto summoned his 500 or so clones to continue training, before walking back in and taking his clone's place over. Turning back to Asia's new friends, Naruto gave a slight grin. Okay, tonight we are having some yakitori, said Naruto with a grin, causing the peerage to laugh at his choice. House of Phoenix. Riser laid on his bed looking up at his ceiling. Suddenly he had an urge to attack a blonde-haired human. Bastard will die by my hand, then I won't hear any more yakitori jokes, mumbled Riser as he closed his eyes only to see Naruto in a chef hat with a yakitori stick in his hand with chicken still on it. Damn it! Shouted Riser, causing everyone in the Phoenix clan to twitch at the volume. Back with Naruto. Naruto simply grinned at the cooking chicken in front of him. Disgraceful, using a name when not knowing the true meaning behind it, spoke a voice within the dark, causing Naruto to snap his head around as he looked around the darkness that surrounded him. What the hell? Shouted Naruto, moving his head around rapidly in a panic as he watched the darkness span on and on, no other color but the darkest of blacks around. You are nothing like the real Naruto, just a brat who enjoyed the gifts of his past self, spoke the voice one more, his voice projecting through the darkness. Naruto narrowed his eyes. What the hell do you mean? I'm Naruto Uzumaki, shouted Naruto, only to see a red pathway being created directly in front of him. A completely dark figure standing at the other end. You saw the memories, felt a small bit of the emotions, but didn't get the true feeling of what it means to be Naruto, spoke the figure, as it walked slowly towards him, still completely covered in darkness, as he walked closer. Clenching his fist, Naruto moved his body forward towards the figure, fist raised up. Fuck you! Shouted Naruto as he rammed his fist forward only to widen his eyes in shock as the figure caught his hand with his own. You are nothing but a child who took what Naruto wanted for granted. Until you truly become him, you are nothing but a disgrace that I will take over, shouted the figure, lifting his head up to show a near-identical Naruto with black scara and red slit irises. However, the biggest difference was what he was wearing. He was wearing what he wore during the Fourth Shinobi War. Naruto ripped his hand out of the other Naruto's grip, walking backwards in fear as the clone moved towards him. Dark Naruto B, but how? I joined up with you at the Waterfall of Truth, shouted Naruto as he walked backwards with shock written upon his face, causing Dark Naruto to growl. Even now you are not the real Naruto. Just a sad version of him, shouted Dark Naruto as he appeared right in front of Naruto, smashing his leg into Naruto's ribs, making a few cracking sounds as Naruto was sent flying, skidding across the darkness. Naruto coughed up some blood as he looked towards his darker self, his eyes now only showing a single emotion. Fear. No. Get back. Get away from me, shouted Naruto as he started to crawl away from his darker clone, who simply scowled before appearing next to the crawling Naruto as kicking him in the ribs once more. The one I fused with Naruto Uzumaki. The real Naruto Uzumaki wouldn't allow what happened to Asia without any form of anger. The real Naruto Uzumaki personally looked after his friends. The real Uzumaki gave a damn about his precious people, shouted Dark Naruto as he gripped the now bleeding Naruto's black blazer, lifting him up with rage. Bringing the bleeding Naruto closer to his face, Dark Naruto simply growled. How did such a disgrace like you appear? I have no clue if Kurama was here. Hell, anyone we used to know: Kurama, Tusan, Kachan, Konohamaru, Undo, Moegi, Sasuke, Sakura, Hinata, Aino, Shino, Shikamaru, Choji, Kiba, Lee Niji, Tenten, Sai, Kakashi-sensei, Captain Yamato, Jiji, Asuma-sensei, Kurinai-sensei, Gai-sensei, Ero-senin, Tsunade-bachan, Shizen-nei-chan, they would completely agree you are not Naruto Uzumaki, not the true Naruto Uzumaki, but I will say you resemble him in traits and a big chunk of his attitude but not the part of attitude and spirit that the real Naruto had. And I am not going to let this happen, not letting a mistake like you drag the spirit of Naruto Uzumaki into the ground. This time, you will live through it all, the pain, the hatred, and the sadness. All the negative emotions Naruto lived through. The one that truly deserves to be alive. The one I will bond with once again, shouted Dark Naruto as he gripped the bleeding Naruto's head with both hands, exploding in a shining light as the images of Naruto flashed by. Naruto and I-san, shouted 3 voices. Damn it, Naruto, shouted a woman. Naruto, you have to be more careful, spoke a gentle voice. Brat. I don't care how much of your father you are. You're still a brat, shouted an annoyed voice. You're really something, Naruto spoke an even-toned voice. You're definitely Sensei's son, Naruto, spoke a slightly happy voice. Dazzle in the flames of youth, said an extremely energetic voice. Wind style, huh? You're one of a kind, spoke a gruff voice. You're doing well, Naruto-san, spoke a beautiful voice. And Naruto-ke-kun, spoke a shy voice. Yo! Naruto! Shouted a brash voice. Naruto-san, spoke a calm voice. Naruto, spoke a snotty voice. Troublesome blonde, spoke a lazy voice. Hey Naruto! Want some chips? Asked a voice. You make your own fate, right, Naruto? Spoke an equally calm voice. You inspired us, Naruto, never forget that. Spoke a petite voice. YOSH. Naruto-kun, let our flames of youth shine. Spoke an energetic voice. Naruto baka, shouted a voice. Dobe, spoke the final voice with a smirk imaginable on a hidden face. Kick-ass databang, spoke an excited voice. I believe in you, spoke a tearful and confident voice. You're the one, Sage Gigi, spoke of Naruto, spoke 8 voices. Partner, spoke a gruff, prideful voice. Naruto, shouted all the voices together. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. I'm not going to run away, and I never go back on my word. That's my nindo. My ninja way. Suddenly the light faded from sight, 2 figures now standing parallel to each other. Arigato, spoke Naruto, lifting his now cleared of blood face to look at his darker self. Thank you once again, although I don't like how I got revived, but I do thank you for it. Spoke Naruto with a slight smile upon his face as he looked towards his darker self, who simply gave a smirk. Better you than the other guy. Bastard might have had gotten you perfect in some form, but not what truly matters. Besides, I've already gotten used to bonding with you, so think of it as a little positive to me by getting you back. Spoke the darker Naruto with his arms crossed and smirk stuck to his face. He sure, whatever you say, spoke Naruto with a grin as he looked upwards, before a slight frown appeared on his face. I thought I changed this place before, guess I gotta do it again. Spoke Naruto in a calm tone as he watched as the darkness disappeared within his mindscape once more, before being changed into a perfect replica of Konoha. Breathing in, Naruto simply began to walk with his darker self towards a special shop of his Ichiraku. Pushing a fold over, Naruto came upon the sight of Im and Tuchi cooking ramen. Sitting down, Naruto simply watched as the ghostly images of his precious people smile at him and make ramen. You know, I really do miss them, but at least this way I can see them each and every day, spoke Naruto with his calm and peaceful tone before giving out a sigh. What's the situation with Asia and the others, and what exactly happened with the other Naruto not doing anything about Rias pretty much using me to have Asia join them, asked Naruto with a slightly serious tone as he grabbed a pair of chopsticks before snapping them apart and begun eating his fresh ramen. The darker version simply copied him with a grin. Seems like when one of the clones following Asia dispersed within one of Rias's barriers, her devil energy mixed into the chakra return. Basically, you had a piece of Rias's energy wrapped around your dispersed chakra. Now normally nothing would happen, as the two energies mixed. However, Rias's energy had wrapped around your dispersed chakra and entered your system, both blocking out that clone's ability to give you its memories, along with having Rias's energy control your own, not exactly like hypnosis, but in a way that you would react like Rias's was your everything, that being either wife, girlfriend, etc. Rias's seemed to know that when she kissed your disgrace of a previous host, as she then managed to manipulate the energy within you to sway onto her side, I suppose, but the topping on the cake is the little peerage seal she placed on your body, basically making you a follower. Now, while if you had a strong will, you could easily ignore the feeling of wanting to follow Rias, suddenly the darker half just gave a sigh. But as you know, the previous Naruto wasn't like you or a regular shinobi with any pride. He hadn't noticed the change in emotions at all. But the best thing to add on to the topped-off cake was the fact that the seal wouldn't release until the instruction which was in the seal, which I quote. Until Rias Gremory defeats Riser Phoenix in a ratings game, Naruto Uzumaki will be under the Gremory seal. At this, the darker Naruto simply threw his hands out. So basically, you're going to have to stick with the group until the Riser battle. Well, not stick with them, as they seem to forget that you existed due to Issei apparently growing in strength quite fast. It's funny how they think that doing a few push-ups more than the previous day counts as growing. Hell, they even decided that our training was too easy, even though we gave them the academy obstacle course, which took them 3 times to 4 times the amount of time we should have completed it in the academy. Honestly, the nerve of the bastards at some points annoyed the hell out of me. And then there was the person in control. He did jack diddly squat when they told him his training was too easy. He just agreed with them and did nothing. Hell, he even stopped training to learn to cook for Rias better, shouted darker Naruto with an aggravated tone as he knocked his ramen off the counter, which the real Naruto quickly catches with a golden chakra tail appearing out of his tailbone. Moving his chakra tail up, Naruto placed the ramen bowl back onto the bench, where the darker Naruto simply gave a sigh of relief before digging into his ramen bowl. What about Asia? Asked the original as he placed his chopsticks down next to his empty bowl, before both disappeared as if they hadn't just been there. Darker Naruto slurped up some noodles before huffing. I really don't understand how, but she seems to have fallen for Issei along with every other girl apart from Kaneko in that entire peerage. Well, apart from Kiba as well. He does seem nice though. But I can also tell he's somewhat like Sasuke, just not a bastard, spoke the darker Naruto, before clicking his fingers. She also left to live with Issei, who knew the pervert would get his harem, said darker Naruto with a huff, mumbling about we should have had a harem back in our world, and why the hell do chicks love the pervert Jiraiya would kill in this world if that's what girls like. The last one brought a grin to the real Naruto's face. Naruto spoke Naruto suddenly. Eh? Asked darker Naruto as he looked towards the original, who had a grin. That's your name from now on. No matter how much I know that you're only a collection of my hate, you seem too different in view to be the same as me, so I think you deserve your own name. So how about Naruto? Asked Naruto, getting a raised eyebrow from his darker self before he shrugged. Sure, why not? Replied the now named Naruto before he placed his chopsticks down next to his ramen, before it disappeared like Naruto's. Raising his hands into a release formation, Naruto looked up at the sky once more. Kai! Soon the red sun disappeared, replaced by a bright golden version. Looking towards Naruto, Naruto gave a small smile and wave. Time to turn the world upside down, spoke Naruto with a grin, only getting a wave from Naruto as he left the ramen stand. Ring 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 ring. 10 more minutes, Bachan, muttered Naruto as his chest raised and fell with his breathing. Clear signs of him not arousing from his slumber at all. Even with his hand smashed through his what? 12th alarm clock in the past week or so. You do know that it's a school day, right? And even if you finish school, your reincarnation still has to go. And seeing as how you're just a mixture of both Naruto, with the real/original being the most dominant, I would have thought you would realize that. Voiced out Naruto from within Naruto's mindscape, causing the blonde-haired teen to open his eyes slightly and gaze towards his ceiling. But why do I have to go to school, damn it? Back where we came from, the school we went to was a ninja school, and while it wasn't exactly cool, we got to learn some form of fighting and ninjutsu. This school we currently go to has nothing of the sort. And I don't care if I'm smart in this school, damn it. It's too boring, muttered Naruto out loud as he pushed his torso up, causing the small white sheets he had over him to fall down, showing his orange singlet off to the world or the mirror in front of his room. Naruto simply chuckled evilly. It's not my fault that you go to school, is it? Anyway, wouldn't you be needing to get to class in about 7 minutes? Asked Naruto as he looked at his open hand, which he slowly lowered his fingers one by one, before he closed his fist entirely. Naruto jumped off his bed like it had been set on fire. Shit! Shouted Naruto as he jumped towards his cabinet and began chucking clothing everywhere, before he paused for a moment. Didn't I sort all my school cloths and put them in a separate cabinet? Muttered out Naruto towards himself as he looked around his used-to-be-clean cabinet. Moving his eyes towards the bottom left corner, Naruto felt a single bead of sweat drip behind his head as the sorted school cloths laid there in neat piles. Hero of the village, hero of the Fourth Shinobi War, sage of Mount Myaboku, the child of prophecy, and I can't even find neatly sorted cloths, muttered Naruto with small bits of waterfall tears trailing down his cheeks in sadness, along with a rain cloud floating above his head with thunder shooting out for a good measure. Shaking his head, Naruto quickly threw his sleeping cloths off towards the laundry basket near the door, and quickly threw on his school attire. Standing towards the mirror, Naruto gave himself a quick look over, making sure he didn't have anything in the wrong place or something else. Giving out a sigh, Naruto held a small grin. Well then, time to go to school again, muttered Naruto as he walked out of his room and into the kitchen/living room, where he quickly grabbed the bag that was left on top of the coffee table, before walking towards the front door, his right hand ready to grip the doorknob. Just as Naruto's hand was going to grip the doorknob, Naruto paused his hand, before lifting it up towards his face, showing a white ball that looked like the sun. I know that my other felt the sage's chakra inside himself, but how he didn't notice the symbol that represents said power I have no clue, muttered Naruto once more, before turning back towards his room, intent on getting some bandages to cover up his palm and hand. Opening his cabinet once more, Naruto reached out with his left hand to grab a roll of bandages that were neatly tucked in a smaller cabinet inside of his regular one. However, just as Naruto lifted the neatly wrapped bandages, he dropped them in shock as he looked towards his left hand. On his left hand was a crescent moon, a black crescent moon. Naruto's eyes slowly widened themselves in shock as he looked towards his hand for a few moments. Soon Naruto's hand started to tremble as the adrenaline within Naruto's body began to surge and flow at a fast pace, causing Naruto to snap himself out of his shock. How I thought that old man sage only gave me half his chakra. Hell, I know he gave me only half. Sasuke team had this same symbol on his own left hand when we battled Madara, spoke Naruto, his voice changing from a fearful confusion to a regular confusion. I wouldn't worry about it now, although I can't say I'm not curious on how you got it either, but for now we have to go to school, which by the way starts in 2 minutes, spoke Naruto from within the mindscape of Naruto. Naruto shook his head as he looked at his palms, his right showing the white sun, his left showing the crescent black moon. Why, mumbled out Naruto as he looked back at the cabinet, leaving his original target on the floor. Now I need to cover both my hands, thought Naruto as he opened a drawer to see skin-tight fingerless back gloves, similar to what Madara had before being the Jubi Jinchuriki. Pulling the 2 gloves on, Naruto closed the closet and turned around, before disappearing within a blink of an eye. Ko Academy Gym Supply Closet. Appearing with a small bit of smoke, Naruto opened the supply closet a bit, making sure that he didn't make a sound, before sticking his head out and looking in both directions, ignoring the fact that Naruto could have simply sensed if anyone was there. But he wasn't going to take any chances. Opening the supply closet, Naruto quickly walked out, making sure to close the closet quietly so that no one was alerted about him randomly appearing out of a closet. Closing the closet, Naruto gave a slight sigh, before he began walking towards the exit of the gym, which leads to the back entrance of the school. He was sure that if he was a minute or 2 late, he wouldn't be in that much trouble. Just as he put his left foot out of the gym exit, Naruto felt a signature randomly appear behind him. Stopping his movement, Naruto turned his head around and came upon the sight of the girl he saw on top of a telephone pole a week or so ago. Chakra, muttered the woman with no emotion held within her eyes, with the exception of a little bit of curiosity. Raising an eyebrow, Naruto turned his body to face the little girl's body face on, before looking into her dark black eyes with his own blue ones. The two stared at each other for a few moments, before the little girl walked up closer to him, only standing a few feet from him. I can feel the energy held within you, Chakra. If I am not mistaken, how a human has achieved the amount I can feel, I will never know, muttered the girl in an emotionless tone, causing Naruto to narrow his eyes slightly. So you know what chakra is along with being able to feel it. Who are you? Asked Naruto, causing the smaller woman to simply stare back at him blankly. Ophis, the infinite dragon god, replied Ophis in a blank tone as she looked towards Naruto, who simply raised an eyebrow in curiosity. A dragon god, huh? Muttered Naruto as he stared at the gothic Lolita girl for a few seconds with curiosity before he heard a bell ring. Naruto blinked for a few moments as he looked towards Ophis's direction. Naruto then lowered his head slightly. I am late, first day, I'm truly back and I'm late, damn it, shouted Naruto with tears pouring down his eyes in a waterfall fashion, something which gained Ophis's attention and curiosity. Walking up to him, the smaller girl stuck a single finger out and placed it under Naruto's eyes and was surprised to find that when she moved her finger back, there was water surrounding her finger. Looking at her now wet finger, Ophis didn't see Naruto moved, before feeling the larger male hugging the life out of her as he cried on her shoulder, something that made Ophis blink in confusion. Looking at the blonde, Ophis gained her blank look once more. You are very weird. Let go of me now, spoke Ophis as she was now poking Naruto's face with her small finger, eventually snapping Naruto out from his semi-breakdown. Moving his head up from Ophis's shoulder, Naruto looked around to notice that he was surrounded by a large group of girls, who simply looked at him with a raised eyebrow. Chuckling slightly, Naruto let go of Ophis, sending the small girl who had been suspended off the ground by Naruto back onto the solid earth, where she simply left through the exit and disappeared. Naruto simply scratched the back of his neck in sheepishness. That didn't happen," said Naruto as he slowly walked out of the gym, causing the all-girl class to stare at the exit door. First period class. Sorry I'm late, but on my way here I had to fight a dragon god and save a cat from a tree, then help an old lady with her groceries. Spoke Naruto as he rubbed his neck, causing the whole class to erupt in laughter as the teacher blinked at Naruto. Whatever, Naruto-san. Please go to your seat now. Spoke the male teacher, wishing to simply start his lesson. Walking towards the back of the classroom, Naruto came upon the sight of his regular desk being taken by Issei, with Asia apparently in their class now. Keeping what knowledge Naruto gave him during the slight briefing when he was asleep, Naruto walked towards the opposite corner of where he usually sat. However, he did feel a slight tug on his shirt as he walked towards his seat. Already knowing who tugged his shirt, Naruto gave a small smile and greeting. Hey Asia, how's it going? Asked Naruto, attempting to move slightly closer to his seat without Asia noticing, as he was now getting a full-blown stare from the teacher. Oh, Naruto and I-san. It's been going so well for the past week. Issei-kun has taken me everywhere around the city, and shown me a lot of the delicacies that the city has to show. It is amazing seeing things in the city. Spoke Asia with a peppy attitude, causing Issei to rub his nose with a smile on his face, probably due to hearing that Asia enjoyed spending time with him. Naruto blinked. He hadn't known that Issei was showing Asia around, and all it does kind of make sense that Issei would do that. He did ask Naruto if he knew about Asia to him before. Blinking, Naruto held his small smile as he gave a peace hand sign to Asia. That's great, Asia-chan. But be sure that Issei isn't doing anything perverted around you. He is known for being a pervert and all. Spoke Naruto as he rubbed the used-to-be nun's head genteelly, causing the small blonde to giggle. Turning towards his seat once more, Naruto moved his seat back and slid in, placing his bag on the floor beneath his desk. Clearing his throat, the teacher began. Few minutes in. Naruto currently had his arms crossed in front of him with the lower part of his face covered by his arms. Looking towards the board, Naruto felt himself internally attempt to commit suicide as he relived his academy days with Iruka replacing his current teacher. It also helped they were both giving a lecture that seemed to last forever. Turning his head up towards the ceiling, Naruto gave an imaginary finger. Why have you cursed me, you white-haired bastard, thought Naruto, only getting a paper thrown at his face in return. Will Issei Hayadu, Asia Argento and Naruto please head towards the Occult Research Club? If teachers may excuse these students, it would be good. Thank you for listening. Seeing as the announcement finished, Naruto watched as Issei and Asia stood up and began making their way towards the door, with both Asia and Issei waiting for Naruto, who had not even attempted to move. Seeing this, Issei waved his hand out towards Naruto. Yo Naruto! We just got called, spoke Issei, with Asia nodding in agreement. Everyone watched as Naruto sat within his seat, before the teacher gave a very large sigh. Naruto-san, if you would please go. You are disrupting the class, spoke the teacher with a clear tone, getting Naruto to release a sigh himself. Fine, muttered the reborn ninja as he stood up, grabbing his bag as he walked towards the door, and intentionally leaving his seat out. Walking past both Asia and Issei, Naruto gave a fake smile and thumbs up, not that either noticed. Okay. Let's go, spoke Naruto in an over-sarcastic tone, not that either Asia or Issei once again noticed. Walking towards the stairs that would take them to the entrance of the school, Naruto looked towards his left, and saw a closet. Grabbing both Issei and Asia by their wrists, Naruto opened the closet with his knee and walked inside, before all three of them disappeared. Occult Research Club. Rias sat behind her desk with some tea held within her hand as she looked towards her current members that were there. Counting three, them being Akino, Kaneko, and Kiba. Rias sipped some more tea as she moved her eyes towards the clock, showing 10 a.m. on the dot. Looking back to her current companions, Rias began to explain why they were called. Okay. So as you may know, it's that time of the month where we are able to go to the familiar forest, and before you speak. This isn't for us, it's more for Issei and Asia as they need their familiars, while Naruto could simply tag along so to speak, as he isn't a full member of my peerage. But during that time, The main objective is to get Asia and Issei a familiar, but it would seem that Sona has a similar idea of going to the familiar forest. Now, as you all know, the familiar master only takes a single group a month, so we, being me and Sona, have decided to hold a competition to see who gets to go. But seeing as how I wanted to be slightly fair, I had let Sona choose the competition. She chose dodgeball, so I just want all of us to have some practice," spoke Rias as she looked towards her present members, who simply nodded. "Cuckoo. Rias Bucho, you're evil having a team game as the competition? Isn't that a bit unfair with a certain speedster in our team? Well, two if you count Kiba," spoke Akino with a grin, causing the only blonde male currently there to give a slight smile and twitch. Rias simply waved Akino off. "It wasn't my fault. Sona could have simply had two of our members battle, or even myself against her. So I wasn't being evil or manipulative. She was just unlucky," finished Rias, cheeky smile hidden behind her interlocked hands. Kaneko suddenly straightened her back out. "The pervert and Asia are here, and by the scent, Naruto is also here," spoke Kaneko with a blank tone of voice, causing Rias to nod in acknowledgement. Soon the door opened wide and in walked Naruto, Issei and Asia, with the latter two walking side by side, and Naruto walking behind the two with his hands wrapped behind his head. Seeing everyone appear, Rias cleared her throat. "Okay. Seeing as how we are all here now, I am here to give you all a slight heads up about a competition between both Mai and Sona's peerage after school. This competition will allow the winners to go to the familiar forest." Rias seemed to stop as soon as she noticed Issei's hand shoot up slightly, nervousness easily noticeable upon his facial features. "Yes, Issei?" asked Rias, slightly annoyed at having been stopped, before she got over it. Issei scratched his cheek slightly as he looked towards Rias. "Bucho. What exactly is the familiar forest?" asked Issei, his nervousness once again present. Rias blinked for a second, before showing a smile. "The familiar forest is where special creatures reside that is open to us devils. Basically, when a devil becomes used to his activities, the devil is then granted an opportunity to gain a familiar, which is basically a creature that bonds with you. A familiar is then able to give out flyers for you and use their abilities at any time. Say for instance, if you had a dragon familiar, he/she would be a strong fighter," finished Rias, watching as Issei's face went through a few emotions. Issei seemed to understand, before clicking his fingers. "What do you mean about a familiar handing out flyers for us? Wouldn't people notice if like a dragon was handing them a piece of paper?" asked Issei. Rias sighed once more, before giving Issei an explanation. "Most familiars have a human form which they can switch into at any given moment. However, there are a few species that don't have a human form, and an example would be dragons," finished Rias once more, gaining a nod from Issei. While this was going on, Naruto was carefully contemplating what he was hearing. There apparently was a forest full of creatures that could become bonded to you if both you and the creature wanted. It almost sounded like a summoning jutsu, only with the caster being able to summon one creature. I know that you can have more than one, but Akino didn't state that she had more than one in the conversation. Naruto suddenly jolted his head towards the clock as he heard a bell go, the final bell if the clock was right. Looking around, Naruto noticed that he was the only one left in the club room that Rias used for her peerage. Shaking his head, Naruto stood up, before he narrowed his eyes. Sending a pulse of chakra out in all directions, Naruto relaxed himself slightly when he noticed that there was no signature for any devil, fallen, or angel. He even made sure that his fellow humans didn't appear on his radar. Seeing he was clear, Naruto summoned 10 clones, each holding the same narrowed look. Turning to a clone, Naruto gave his instructions. "Find out everything about Rias and the whole devils, fallen and regular angels. Also, if there is anything saying something about Office, make sure you remember word for word, every bit of info," stated Naruto as he felt the signatures of his fellow members waiting at the gym. Looking at his clones once more, Naruto gave a short nod, before disappearing. Naruto blinked at the sight he had come upon as he arrived at the gym. There, right in front of him was Issei, holding onto his junk with tears streaming down his face, with every chick apart from Kaneko surrounding Issei as he cried on the floor. Blinking once more, Naruto turned his head towards the opposite team and saw Sona with an evil grin resting on her cute face, causing Naruto get the idea that it was by her Issei was crying on the floor. Walking towards the only female not worrying about Issei, Naruto stood next to Kaneko, who seemed aware of his presence if the slight twitch in her neck gave him an indication. Lowering himself slightly, Naruto put a hand in front of his face as he gave Kaneko quick glances from Sona's group towards the downed Issei. "Hey, Kaneko-chan. What happened?" asked Naruto in a whisper, causing the little white-haired girl to state in a blank whisper the events. "The pervert got his nuts squashed by Sona Citri, who used a dodgeball with magic to enhance its strength," muttered the small girl, causing Naruto to simply stare at Issei for a moment, before turning his head back to Kaneko once more. Shouldn't you be also worried then? The way I see it, nearly every girl in Rias's peerage is hooked onto him," asked Naruto with a slightly raised eyebrow, causing the little girl to look at Naruto directly, confusion hidden in her eyes. "To answer your first question, he's a pervert. I'm not helping a pervert. For your second question though, I really have no idea why Akino-san, Asia-san and Riasbucho like him." "Why do you ask?" replied Kaneko, some form of emotion being noticed by Naruto within her speech. Scratching the back of his neck slightly, Naruto gave a small grin, a grin that only Kaneko could see as his hand was blocking it from view, not that anyone would notice, as Issei was now crying harder after Asia slipped and fell on his junk, only causing more pain. "Well, it's weird, I guess. I mean, how many people who loudly states that their dream is to be the harem king actually gets any girls after that? I mean, sure, Issei is a great friend, mumble about before being a devil, but why would a lot of girls who are extremely cute, with the exception of you, Kaneko-chan, be liking the pervert to a very high degree? It just boggles my mind a bit." Databeo spoke Naruto, causing Kaneko to have a slight blush at the mention of her name, not that Naruto could see as the girl turned her head when she felt it appear. Kaneko gave a slight sigh as she looked back towards the field, watching as Issei is carried off the field due to injury. "I have no clue, Naruto-senpai," muttered the small girl, causing Naruto to raise an eyebrow. "Senpai?" asked Naruto in a curious tone, which made the small girl nod her head. "Hi, not only are you older, Naruto-senpai, but you are also stronger," spoke Kaneko, who was once again staring blankly at the pervert who was getting healed by Asia. However, as she was looking away from Naruto, she hadn't noticed him move his hand to her head. But before she could get his hand off, she began to purr as Naruto rubbed her head. If anyone looked at Naruto now, they would see him with a large grin. "Don't worry about adding senpai to my name, Kaneko-chan. We're all equals," said Naruto as he finished rubbing Kaneko's head, not noticing the small girl send a glare at his hand as it moved away from her head. As soon as Naruto went back to paying attention to the gym, he noticed that Sona noticed him, which was shown as she walked off the field towards him, ignoring the still crying Issei, which brought a sweat drop to his head as Issei was still crying. Standing a few feet from both Kaneko and Naruto, Sona raised her glasses up slightly as she looked at Naruto. "Well, Naruto-san, seems that you have joined Rias's peerage. Shame, really," spoke Sona in a calm tone, something which Naruto raised an eyebrow to. "No, I haven't. Well, not really, I guess," spoke Naruto as he raised his right arm and pulled his sleeve down, showing the mark of Gremory. "It's more of a temporary thing, I guess. I'm only in Rias's peerage in name only, well, until Rias beats Riser Phoenix anyway," muttered Naruto towards the end, gaining a sharp look in return from Sona. "So you are still litigable for claim? I will see to it that I gain you with a mutated piece I have," replied Sona as she spun on her heel and returned to her side of the court. "She seemed excited that you were still up for grabs," spoke Kaneko from Naruto's side, causing Naruto to simply nod his head, confirming that he noticed that too as well. Rias then walked over to them, Issei now sitting on a chair with an ice pack held in front of his lap. "Naruto, you have to take Issei's place as it was an unfair spot to hit," quickly spoke Rias as she returned to the court, Naruto simply giving a huff. Turning to Kaneko, Naruto rubbed her head once more, gaining another purr from the girl. "Wish me luck," said Naruto with a grin, before walking towards the court. "Missing Kaneko's you don't need it, senpai." Appearing on the court, Naruto noticed he was the only one on. Turning his head around, Naruto blinked a few times to see that Rias had Kiba, Akino cheering about avenging Issei's death. Cue multiple sweat drops. "What the hell is wrong with them?" muttered Naruto, before turning his head back to Sona and her two other team members. "Yo! You mind if we just start? They're taking their time with avenging Issei's death, and I am curious about the familiar forest," spoke Naruto as he spread his knees and legs apart slightly ready for the game. Sona simply grinned evilly. "If you so choose," spoke the president of the student council, grabbing a ball near her foot and sending it towards Naruto, who simply tilted his head, dodging the ball entirely. "Really? That's it?" asked Naruto, his arms crossed as he looked towards Sona. Hey! Don't talk to the president like that! Screamed the only male other than himself on the court currently. However, he soon shut up when Sona sent a glare at him, before turning back towards Naruto with her evil grin in place. After a moment, Naruto widened his eyes as he jumped to the right, avoiding a ball that was following him around. What the hell? Shouted Naruto as he dodged the ball, not that it was hard or anything, but it was persistent for a ball. Naruto turned his head towards Sona's blonde teammate and grinned. Moving himself forward towards Sona and her team, Naruto gave a cheeky grin and wink, before back flipping in the air. He didn't stop there, however. As the ball went slightly past Naruto, Naruto span and kicked the ball straight into the other male's nuts, shooting him out of the building. Sona watched with shocked eyes as Naruto did that, before feeling a ball bop her in the nose gently. Turning her head, she saw another Naruto grinning with a peace hand sign. Turning towards her other peerage member who was still in, Sona blinked when she saw that her teammate was being healed by her other members, due to the apparent ball to the cheek. Turning her attention back towards Naruto, Sona came upon the sight of 3 Narutos with their arms crossed and side by side. Better, spoke the Naruto on the left. Luck, said the Naruto on the right. Next time, Sona-chan, finished the Naruto in the middle with a single thumbs up held out towards her. She so likes you, spoke Naruto from within the mindscape. Shut up, replied Naruto, blushing slightly as he sent a glance towards Sona. To avenge Issei's death, finished Rias and her team's chant, only causing both Naruto and Sona's peerage, including the blonde male who was shot out of the building, to sweat drop heavily. This only continued when they walked onto the court and picked up a ball, ready for action. Sona just shook her head, before walking off the court, only turning around to give Naruto a slight wave. Good game, Naruto-san, spoke Sona, her peerage following her out. Before Naruto could turn, he saw Rias stand right in front of him. What happened, Naruto? Why did Sona leave? Asked Rias, as she stood in front of Naruto with her hands on her hips. Within the mindscape, Naruto simply smacked his face as he mumbled out. Beat the other team while you were chanting, and did you seriously not pay attention to someone being smashed through a building? Nodding to Naruto's thoughts, Naruto gave a slight sigh and cheesy grin. Oh, I saw that you guys were all busy helping Issei, so I thought I would do my part and play ahead. I won a few seconds before your speech and cheer, replied Naruto, mentally wanting to smash his head at the unawareness Rias and her peerage apparently had. Oh, replied Rias with a blink, before she turned towards her peerage members. Everyone, Naruto here won the match for us. Consider Issei avenged. Now, we can all get changed and ready for the familiar forest in about 30 minutes, okay? Spoke Rias, getting a nod from everyone as they disappeared in the summoning circle, Issei and Asia going with Akino. Turning around, Rias gave Naruto a beautiful smile. Thank you, Naruto. We'll be back soon, spoke Rias in a soft tone, disappearing in a red summoning circle as well. Seeing her disappear, Naruto felt the rush of memories go into his head. Gripping his head with his right hand, Naruto went towards the seats that ran alongside the gym's court. Placing himself down, Naruto watched through his clone's memories as they found nearly everything that was revolved around the supernatural world. However, what shocked Naruto was that he found Rias's diary. Why would a devil need one he didn't know, but it didn't stop him from taking a look at its contents. What he found actually made Naruto slightly plain, he guessed. Inside the diary it talked about how Rias felt when she met everyone she knew and how her life had been. It pretty much went from her age of 4 or 5 to her current age. So what he learned from her diary was that there were 4 Satans, one of which was her older brother, who was also apparently the strongest. The devil world only had a third of their original devil houses, causing the creation of the peerage system, utilized by a set of chess pieces, created by one of the smarter 4 of Satans. He also learned that there was a war between the 3 factions, devils, fallen and angels, which pretty much wiped a lot of people off the face of the earth, with the fallen being excluded as they left the war after a good chunk of soldiers/troops died, one of which was the original governor of the fallen, leading up to a man named Azazel to take control and retreat from the war. At least Azazel wasn't an idiot, unlike the previous governor, muttered Naruto as he was chilling on the 4th Hokage's hair on the mountain. Yeah, but all that came from the war was a non-aggression pact. But I don't think that they would have even done that if the 2 great dragons battled near them, muttered Naruto within his head, causing Naruto to nod. Yeah, wasn't one of the dragons called Ophis? Asked Naruto in slight confusion. Naruto blinked at that. Ophis, the infinite dragon god motherfucker, muttered Naruto out loud as he just realized that he had a dragon god in front of him earlier in the day. Naruto suddenly started to chuckle. You wanna fight her, don't you? Asked Naruto with a grin, only stretching further when he heard Naruto mutter. What do you think? Looking up towards the bright ceiling, Naruto gave out a sigh. Okay, so not only did we meet a dragon god that apparently sensed my chakra, but we also found out that there's a massive war between 3 factions. Meh, sounds easier to unite than the shinobi world. Spoke Naruto out loud with a grin. Hey, he's the man who united every major village, along with probably the smaller ones as well, and also made friends with the 9 Bijou. What the hell was out of his reach? Suddenly Naruto snapped his head towards the roof. Senjutsu chakra, and like that he disappeared, causing a certain black cat to widen its eyes. You know, I really thought that I did fell something off during the dodgeball match. It just took me a few minutes to get a proper feel of what I picked up. And who would have known it was a cat that could use Senjutsu energy? Spoke Naruto as he stood behind the cat with his arms crossed. The cat simply looked at him for a few moments, before a grin stretched its face. Oh, so you can sense Senjutsu Naya? Asked the small black cat as it faced Naruto, causing the blonde to sweat drop slightly. I honestly can't take you seriously. Not only the height difference is hurting my neck, but it's just weird. It's like talking to Gamakichi for the first time again. Spoke Naruto as the small cat grin widened. Before Naruto knew it, the cat began to stand on its hind legs, before it started to grow to a slightly smaller size to him being 166 centimeters in height, while the figure seemed to be 153 to 156 centimeters in height. Soon the cat began to lose its fur, its arms changing into 2 arms, legs as the paws changed into hands. The cat face then changed into that of a beautiful girl's with 2 fluffy cat ears at the top of her head. As the transformation continued, Naruto watched as cloths magically began to form around her body as she changed, causing a slight eyebrow raise in confusion. Soon the now known woman stood in her final form, something that instantly caught Naruto's attention. The woman in front of him had a voluptuous figure with long black hair with split bangs and hazel cat-like eyes. Her attire consisted of a black kimono exterior with a red interior. She then had a yellow obi with golden balls attached to her kimono, just under her yellow obi. Her final piece of new attire was an ornament headwear that sat in her hair, between her 2 cat ears. When Naruto looked towards the Catwoman's face, he couldn't help but notice the extremely large that were being slightly shown. Seeing this, the woman decided to tease him by making a pose, showing off her big black sandals with purple rubber holding her feet to the sandals. Naruto shook his head slightly to get the image out of his head. Why the hell everyone in this general city or area was incredibly beautiful, he had no clue, but he sure as hell wasn't going to complain. See something you like, Naya? Asked the woman with a grin on her face. Something Naruto noticed held a cheeky look to it. Shaking his head once more, Naruto gave out a sigh. So you going to tell me why you were watching the match from up here? Or is this going to be a problem? Asked Naruto with his arms crossed, waiting for the cat girl's reply. Naya. Now why would I want to fight a big strong boy like yourself, Naya? Asked the girl as she walked up to him, teasing grin on her face as she went around him, sort of like a curious cat. Naruto simply narrowed his eyes slightly. You didn't answer my question. Who are you? Asked Naruto, causing the woman to stop and raise an eyebrow. You don't know me, Naya? Asked the woman as she raised her face to just a few centimeters away from Naruto's own. Naruto stared at the woman's face for a few seconds, holding back the blush he wanted to release, before tilting his head slightly. No. Should I? Asked Naruto, causing the woman to look at him in shock. How could you not know me, Naya? I'm an SS-ranked creature, Naya. Asked the woman in shock, thinking that the being in front of her was stupid. Naruto blinked at the information, before he shook his head slightly. You still haven't given me any information, replied Naruto, causing the woman to pout. Fine, Naya. My name is Kuroka, Chiron-chan's older sister Naya. And I was watching the match because I wanted to see my cute Chiron-chan, Naya. Finished the now named Kuroka as she gave a large smile. Blinking, Naruto tilted his head. Who's Chiron? Asked Naruto, getting Kuroka to give a loud Naya. Crossing her arms under her bust, making it appear even larger, Kuroka simply stared at Naruto with a grin. I'm not telling, oh by the way. How do you like your ass kicked, Naya? Asked Kuroka, getting a raised eyebrow from Naruto once more. "My ass," began Naruto, only to twist his body so that the kick Kuroka sent sailed over him. Placing a palm against the floor, Naruto used his strength to throw himself to his right, missing a blue energy bolt from hitting him. Landing on the ground, Naruto watched as Kuroka sent blue bolts at him, some at the same time, while others at a single time. Dodging the bolts, Naruto could feel the nature energy held within them, before summoning a kunai on his wrist. Soon Naruto started to deflect the energy bolts with an earth-style infused kunai, just to increase the durability of his weapon. Summoning another kunai in his left hand, Naruto infused the kunai with his lightning element, making sure to overload his kunai, before he threw it towards Kuroka, who simply sidestepped the blade, causing him to grin, something which Kuroka instantly noticed. Soon a massive sun-like lighting ball exploded out of the kunai, shocking Kuroka in the back while also sending her towards Naruto, who threw his leg forward and kicked Kuroka in the face. Looking down to the now knocked-out Kuroka, Naruto widened his eyes before sending a surge of chakra through his system, causing his surroundings to change back to a non-damaged roof, where he just had enough time to dodge a kick to the head. Ducking under the kick, Naruto quickly shot his apparently free hands up to catch Kuroka's leg, before he simply froze. Something which made Kuroka grin as she kicked him in the head, sending him skidding across the roof. "What's the matter, Naya?" asked the woman with a cheeky tone, causing the Naruto who she kicked to explode in smoke, making Kuroka slightly curious on how he did that, but she kept her grin held onto her face. "What the hell? You aren't wearing any panties!" shouted a voice behind the smoke, which soon cleared out, showing an unharmed Naruto as he pointed a finger towards Kuroka, who simply widened her grin. "And you're complaining, Naya?" asked the woman, only widening her grin when she saw Naruto reply with a no before he began to stutter. Within his mindscape, Naruto had a picture of Kuroka from the view that showed Naruto her special place. He then began to hug the image to his chest. "Damn it," muttered Naruto with a blush spread across his face, before he looked at Kuroka once more, channeling chakra into his feet as he crouched slightly forward. "Well, time to finish this," spoke Naruto as he dashed forward at a speed Kuroka couldn't see, her senjutsu energy only giving her a split-second knowledge of where Naruto was going to strike. During the small skirmish, Kuroka had a big grin, even when she was hit across the clearing. She was truly enjoying the battle. Throwing his hand forwards, Naruto quickly attempted to grab Kuroka's neck, which only failed when Kuroka leaned back, causing Naruto to grip her kimono instead, which, with another backwards dash from Kuroka, ripped it wide open, showing Kuroka in her birthday suit. It only took Naruto a few seconds to realize what happened. And when it did, Naruto quickly turned around and covered his eyes. "Not a pervert, not a pervert, not a pervert, I wonder if they're soft or firm, not a pervert, damn it. Screw you, Ero Sennin!" shouted Naruto as he got kicked to the ribs, sending him crashing onto his back. Within the mindscape, Naruto was now praying to a large naked statue of Kuroka, mumbling, "I am not worthy of the sight." Landing with a grunt, Naruto quickly attempted to roll to his side, only to feel Kuroka sit on him, her hands holding his own down with her body pressed against his own. "That was so fun, Naya. What's your name, Naya?" asked Kuroka as she began to rub her lower region against Naruto's, causing the blonde to try and stop the blood from flowing down there. "Not a pervert," muttered Naruto, only making Kuroka rub more sensually against his lap with her own. "Naya, that's not a name," said Kuroka as she pressed her large against Naruto's black blazer, causing the blonde to finally lose control of his blood flow, something which Kuroka noticed. "Oh, it feels so good. And that's just with it, rap, Naya," shouted Kuroka as she began to speed up her rubbing. Naruto bit the inside of his mouth as he heard the woman's moans. "Think of something else, Uzumaki," muttered Naruto within his mind. Naruto then thought of something. Checking his chakra, Naruto was surprised to find it perfectly fine, no form of genjutsu disrupting the flow. Naruto was soon knocked back into reality when he felt one of his arms go free from the woman's grasp. However, that hand was once again found when it gripped his manhood. Hearing a gasp, Naruto slightly opened a single eye, showing Kuroka gasping in shock. So big nya," shouted Kuroka in joy, causing Naruto to sweat slightly. Turning his around, Naruto caught sight of the spot he had been stuck in a genjutsu on the floor were two kunai. Grunting slightly as he felt Kuroka start to move her hand, Naruto needed to distract her. Looking up towards Kuroka's face, which held a fascinated look, Naruto quickly shot his chest and head up, landing a kiss on Kuroka's lips, effectively shocking the woman as he then swapped places with the kunai. However, when he landed at the kunai's original place, he had to quickly dodge his kunai that had went flying past his face, cutting his cheeks slightly. Kuroka, in her beautiful naked form, had a slightly lusty look in her eyes as she sensually walked towards Naruto, her hips and ass moving with each step, causing the boner within Naruto's pants to stay firm. My, looks like our little pet is running, Naya," spoke Kuroka as she dashed towards Naruto once more, intent on getting what she wanted. Naruto just kept dodging. He couldn't focus as Kuroka's bounced with each jump, step and sway. "I'm not a pet, damn it! I'm Naruto Uzumaki!" shouted Naruto as he rolled forwards, dodging under Kuroka's jump. Landing on her feet, Kuroka grinned. "Naruto Uzumaki, Naya? Well, Mr. Fishcake, this cat is hungry, Naya," spoke Kuroka with a lusty grin, only making Naruto sweat. Damn it, why did his name have to be both a fish cake and a super whirlpool? Well, the super whirlpool was cool, which was called a maelstrom, but the fish cake part sucked. Picking up the second kunai near his foot, Naruto quickly chucked it off the building. Just as Kuroka jumped towards him, he used a quick series of replacements to escape. Landing on the grass below, Naruto hid behind a tree, his brows sweating slightly. Damn it. I can't focus with the lusty cat. Damn her stupidly Tsunade-sized breasts. Did I just say Tsunade's breasts? But that means I looked at a granny's breast size, thought Naruto to himself, waterfall tears going down his jaw at the disturbing thought. Snapping himself of it, Naruto's face turned serious. I also couldn't fight properly as well. Hell, I doubt both me and her did more than our base minimum, that being an academy level need for me. But she defiantly showed off with her use of senjutsu and genjutsu, muttered Naruto as he stuck his head slightly from behind the tree, watching as the shadow of Kuroka looked around for a moment before disappearing. Giving out a sigh, Naruto walked out from behind the tree and pat himself down, getting some of the dust and grime off his clothing. Just to make sure that the cat woman was gone, Naruto jumped up to the roof, making no sound as he felt his feet land onto the roof. Turning his head slowly, Naruto looked to where his two kunai were and gave a sigh. He also saw that the ripped kimono was missing. Well, at least my kunai are still usable, muttered Naruto as he went to pick up his two weapons, only to watch as they fell apart within his hands. Naruto stared blankly at the weapons, before simply dropping them and disappearing, only to reappear inside of the gym, once again sitting on the steps, watching as a large red summoning circle appeared. Soon the peerage of Rias Gremory appeared in their usual attire with Issei still holding an ice pack to his lap. Rias waved slightly to Naruto as she created a portal behind her, causing Naruto to narrow his eyes at the image behind the portal. Clearing her throat, Rias began to explain how this would work, along with the fact that since Naruto wasn't truly a part of her peerage, it would be extremely difficult for him to gain a familiar. However, Naruto waved it off. Turning her back to her peerage, Rias turned her head around slightly and gave a smile. "We all ready?" asked Rias, getting a conforming nod from everyone. Turning her head back towards the portal, Rias stepped in, soon followed by the rest with Naruto going in last. Familiar forest, the darkest, broodiest forest you will ever know. The place of Sasuke's birth. Walking in, Naruto could only widen his eyes as he felt the senjutsu chakra floating around. It was so much that he didn't even need to focus on the feeling, but then again, he was accustomed to it to a point that he matched old Toad Fukasaku in senjutsu sensing, maybe even in absorbing the energy too. Shaking his head once more, Naruto quickly caught up with Rias's peerage and walked at the back. He did notice what appeared to be a realistic version of Ash Ketchum from Pokemon if he never grew up. If the boy shorts and shirt on a man over like 30 gave it away, don't own Pokemon. As Naruto walked with the group, he could feel something clawing at his head, and it wasn't Naruto, although he was quite quiet. When the group stopped, Naruto came upon the sight of a lake which had a cross-species of a male/female jock thing appearing. Let it be known that Issei wasn't the only one saying that thing didn't classify to be a female. As they walked away from the lake, Naruto gripped his head and gave a grunt, something which Rias and the group noticed. Rias, seeing as they had to look around before it was midnight, walked up to Naruto and put a hand to his head. "Are you okay, Naruto? You don't have any physical pain showing?" asked Rias, only getting another grunt. "Yeah, I'm fine, go on ahead, I'll catch up soon," muttered Naruto, causing Rias to give him a concerned look, before nodding and leaving with the group. Soon Naruto stood up and placed a hand against a tree. He could feel the pain eating his head. The way his brain boiled within his skull hurt. But it wasn't the physical pain you would get, but the pain of remembering something. Something that was just at the tip of your tongue. A few moments later, Naruto was at boiling point. He needed to cool down. Getting hold of his chakra, Naruto felt the energy within his control before he, for some strange reason, shot his chakra out of his body in a scream, his energy piercing the dark gray clouds above. "Ah!" screamed Naruto, his energy, his chakra, exploding out of him. Within the forest, multiple animals snapped their eyes open as they felt the power being felt. But only one opened his eyes in shock. "Rias!" screamed Naruto as his chakra slowly started to diminish, his energy returning at a fast rate as he fell to his knees. The burning feeling was gone, but Naruto couldn't believe what he felt next. The emotion he felt after his little show of power caused Naruto to feel relaxed and calm, as if he just let all his worries out in a single scream. Naruto closed his eyes as he sat on his knees, his chakra returning and filling up his coils as he sat. Soon the sound of thundering stomps was heard. It easily snapped Naruto's eyes open as he looked towards the red sky. However, as the steps felt closer, so did the beast that made them. Narrowing his tired eyes, Naruto could only watch as a massive beast walked towards his general direction. Looking at the beast's shape, Naruto slowly widened his eyes as he took in some details, before he remembered a certain fox girl. "It's not him," thought Naruto to himself, as he closed his eyes to rest a bit more. "Naruto!" screamed a voice, snapping Naruto's eyes open to the max as he got off the floor and up to the highest viewpoint. Once again looking towards the beast, Naruto's face went from a serious one to a happy one. The orange body color, the body structure, the black tips that went from the ears to the eyes, the massive white sharp teeth, and of course, the 9 massive tails behind it. "Kurama," muttered Naruto as he looked at the rapidly approaching beast. His happy expression had a grin join itself as Naruto moved his somewhat restored chakra into his feet, before he shot off from the tree and jumped towards the large beast. A few fast-paced tree jumps, Naruto jumped up towards the sky, now able to confirm who it was as he flew towards the creature. Flying towards the orange fox, Naruto held a grin to his face as he shouted a name he hasn't spoken to another. "No fucking way," muttered Naruto as he looked through Naruto's eyes. "Kurama! Kurama!" shouted Naruto as he flew towards the large orange-colored fox, its massive 9 tails swishing behind it as it got closer and closer to Naruto's position. Coming to a stop on one of the trees, Naruto watched as the large fox grinned at him before disappearing in a pool of smoke, causing the blonde to widen his eyes in shock. Moving his head around like a man, Naruto tried to find the once large beige on the dead forest ground, only straining his eyes as he looked for what he believed was Kurama, his partner, his brother, his friend. "Damn it, Kurama! Where the hell are you?" shouted Naruto as he pumped a bit of chakra into his eyes, allowing them to have a slightly better view. "Quite disappointing that you can't sense me, Kit," growled the fox sitting on the branch to Naruto's left. Turning his head slightly to his left, Naruto widened his eyes as he saw a smaller version of what he believed was Kurama laying its head down on his 2 man-like arms. The fox stared at Naruto with red slit eyes with a grin so large it would beat any of Naruto's own grins. "So small world, huh?" asked the fox, his tiny body making his voice seem squeakier and more feminine. Looking at Naruto's shocked face, completely frozen from the sight of Kurama lying next to him on another branch. "And no way, Kurama, is that really you?" asked Naruto, staring into the slit red eyes with pure surprise. He seriously thought that the large fox wasn't Kurama at all, just another fox who ran towards his direction after feeling his energy. The fox simply turned its head to the right, breaking the eye contact. "Kurama? What's a Kurama? Sounds like an amazing name though. Must mean the person with the name is so cool. How you know someone with that name I don't know. You do look a little dopey after all," spoke the fox, its head now looking back towards Naruto's with a larger grin than before. Came multiple ticks above Naruto's eyebrow. "Fuck you! You piece of soon-to-be carpet fur!" shouted Naruto as he grabbed the fox by its armpits and started to thrash it around, only getting 9 fluffy tails to bitch slap him as he shook the fox. "Stop it, you hairless ape!" shouted the fox as it now attempted to bite Naruto's nose off, only making the blonde stretch his arms as far out as possible, dangling the small 9-tailed fox from the tree they were on. "Ha! Now what, you bag of bones?" shouted Naruto with an achieved victory tone, only getting the fox to growl. "You have 3 seconds to put me on a branch," spoke the fox, its growls getting larger and louder as the seconds went by. Naruto raised a single eyebrow, his smirk stuck onto his face. Or what? Asked Naruto in a baby-type tone, only getting a twitch from the fox. Or began the fox, before disappearing in a large poof of smoke, causing Naruto to blink as the small Kurama wasn't in his hands. Suddenly the light seemed to dim a bit. Looking up, Naruto saw the sight of the once again large Kurama sending its paw sailing towards him. You're going to have to earn my allegiance again, finished the massive fox as it hit Naruto from the tree, throwing Naruto in the direction Rias and her peerage had went. With Rias and her peerage. Rias let a smile appear as she watched Asia hold little Rias, a blue spiked dragon that Asia had gained as a familiar a few moments ago. She then turned her head towards Issei, who was crying about his now dead slime Slee, which had the ability of eating through a woman's cloths and undergarments, a very sad perfect pet for Issei, she supposed. Clapping her hands with a smile, Rias got the attention of all her peerage, save one who should be catching up to her. Okay everyone. Time's almost up, and while Issei hasn't gained a familiar, Asia did. So let's give a congratulations to Asia and wait for Naruto to catch up, spoke Rias, who started to clap towards Asia and her pet Rias, who simply gave a tiny roar at the praise. Turning towards Issei once more, Rias honestly felt her brow twitch at the sight of Issei making a small burial for Slee. Turning back to her peerage once more, Rias decided that they should find Naruto, as it was getting a bit close to 12 p.m., there being only 30 minutes. Okay everyone, we will have to find Naruto soon, okay? There won't be much point of being here after midnight, as the animals will be to hide and sleep, but before Rias could finish her sentence, she was quickly distracted by the blonde rocket that smashed and skidded just in front of her feet. Turning her head slightly, she caught the sight of Naruto sitting in a drag ditch with a grin on his face. Shaking her head, Rias was about to say that they had to leave, before the familiar master had made a large gasp. I am possible. The nine-tailed demon fox. But it was thought to be a myth, muttered the familiar master out loud, before turning his head to Rias's group. We have to get out of here. This single familiar is strong enough to take out the entire forest's familiars without much trouble. I have heard rumors of people who attempted to even find it dying near instantly. Hell, even some of the Satans have tried to have it as their familiar, only to leave nearly dead, spoke the man as he backed away from the creature as it looked in their direction. Seeing the seriousness in the man's eyes, Rias quickly opened a portal. Quick everyone! Let's go! Shouted Rias, getting everyone to start moving, before hearing a chuckle coming from the ditch. Naruto began to pull himself out of his little ditch, patting his cloths once he was standing. Looking at the large fox, Naruto could only chuckle after hearing everything the odd familiar master said. You really don't disappoint, Kurama, began Naruto as he stared right at the large fox, who simply grinned towards him. Naruto then held out his right hand, a massive Rasengan forming near instantly. Soon there was another in his left hand, about the same equal size. But neither do I, shouted Naruto as he pushed the two opposite rotating Rasengan together, forming a Super Rasengan, which he learned from Kurama during the war as he remembered the entire mission with Sarah, the Queen of Roar, and the mission that had made him also meet his father before he became Hokage. Naruto watched as the two Rasengan combined, causing the once spiraling twin balls to become one spiraling maelstrom of chakra, releasing a spiral of energy around him as he sent bits of rock flying just from standing. Pushing chakra into his feet, Naruto crouched forward slightly, before jumping straight towards Kurama, who simply charged a tailed beast ball. Naruto felt a smile appear on his face as he flew towards Kurama. Let's go, Kurama! Shouted Naruto as he began to bounce around multiple trees, his Super Rasengan blasting through any trees that were in front of him. Seeing this, the large fox grinned before it began to shoot tailed beast balls towards the incoming blonde ninja. Naruto held a smile onto his face as he felt the explosions of multiple tailed beast balls behind him as he dodged, the wind scraping his face as he charged forward towards his friend. Jumping up, Naruto pushed more chakra out of his back, causing him to fly towards Kurama at a faster rate. Not expecting Naruto to come in too fast, Kurama widened its eyes as the Super Rasengan hit the center of his being. Naruto could only grin as he sent more and more of his chakra into the spiraling maelstrom, causing the once small, but stupidly strong ball of chakra to enlarge itself to a bigger ball, comparable with Naruto's Senjutsu-enhanced Super Big Ball Rasengan. Kurama clenched his jaw as he tried to hold onto the ground with his back paws, something that was becoming harder and harder with the increasing size of the Super Rasengan Naruto had. Grinning, the large fox disappeared in smoke, causing the blonde to fall down to the ground, his Super Rasengan still going strong. Seeing this, Naruto quickly released the Super Rasengan technique, only to feel a tail smash him through a few trees. Looking up, Naruto gave a twitch as the fox was now back to being monstrously large once more. So that's how you want to play it then, muttered Naruto as he summoned a kunai in his left hand, and a Rasengan with growing wind blades on his right. Chucking the kunai, Naruto watched as the fox didn't give it any attention as it missed the large fox's head, only making Naruto smirk as he disappeared in a flash. Blinking, Kurama watched as Naruto disappeared in a flash, only to widen its eyes as it felt Naruto reappear behind him. Turning his head around, Kurama only had enough time to watch as a Rasen Shuriken slammed into the back of his neck, sending him tumbling towards the ground near Rias and her stunned peerage. Seeing Kurama go down, Naruto threw his kunai once more towards the large fox's head and disappeared. Kurama watched with a slightly opened eye as a Hiraishin kunai landed right in front of itself. Soon, in the span of a second, a blonde teen was where the kunai once was, the reason for that being the kunai being destroyed after the teleportation. Walking up to the large fox, Naruto lifted his right fist up towards Kurama, who simply held a small smile. "So have I earned your allegiance, Kurama?" asked Naruto, his fist still held up towards Kurama. Lifting itself up slightly, Kurama moved his right hand to just in front of Naruto's own fist. "Seems that you have, Naruto. Good to see you again," spoke Kurama with a smile on his face, as he moved his fist closer to Naruto's own, something which Naruto replicated. Unaware to the two, Rias and her peerage, along with the familiar master, were staring at the scene with shocked expressions. The familiar master because he couldn't believe a kid defeated something that the renowned Satans couldn't beat. However, Rias and her peerage had shocks because they couldn't believe what Naruto was doing. Not only did he seem to be getting a familiar, but a familiar that even Rias's older brother Surzex couldn't capture? That was just shocking. Soon both Kurama and Naruto's fists connected, causing the two to share a smile upon their faces as they held their fists in place. Soon the moment ended when both lowered their fists, smiles still held upon their faces. "So Kurama, how's this going to work? You going to be sealed inside me again, or are you going to become my familiar?" asked Naruto, getting a smirk from the Bija as it turned itself into chibi form. "Familiar. No offense, but the seal is boring," spoke the now smaller fox with a feminine tone, causing Naruto to nod. "Okay, then how do I do the familiar gaining thing anyway?" asked Naruto as he looked towards the small fox, who simply rolled its eyes. "Will Naruto Uzumaki blah 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 take me to be his familiar blah blah blah, do you accept?" finished Kurama as he started to glow yellow. Naruto simply nodded. Naruto Uzumaki agreed to whatever Kurama just said, spoke Naruto with a cheeky tone, before widening his eyes as the seal upon his wrist began to glow, changing from the mark of Gremory to a familiar shape, the shape of an Uzumaki swirl, only in a golden color. Seeing this, Rias widened her eyes in fright, before still feeling the connection to the mark, although now it felt more like an alliance than a contract. Naruto watched with shocked eyes as his mark seemed to glow, before Kurama disappeared in the light for a moment, before returning and appearing on Naruto's shoulder, his head propped up with his paws keeping him on. Another thing Naruto noticed was that Kurama actually looked like a real fox in his chibi form, well, if you don't include the 8 other tails that swished behind him. Raising his right hand, Naruto began to scratch Kurama's head slightly with a faint smile. "So partners once more?" asked Naruto, gaining a grin from the fox. "Of course you would be dead without me," replied Kurama. Within the mindscape, Naruto was grinning evilly as he looked at Kurama sitting on Naruto's shoulder. "Oh Kurama, you cheeky fox," thought the evil version of Naruto as he continued to watch through Naruto's eyes. Turning his head away from Kurama, Naruto turned to Rias's peerage and gave a grin and wave. "Yo! Look who I got as a familiar. Cool, right?" asked Naruto with a cheeky grin, something which Kurama mimicked to perfection. Everyone seemed to be in complete shock for the next few minutes, but that was until Rias simply shook her head and opened a portal to return back home, ignoring the still shocked members of her peerage. Walking past the shocked people with a grin, Naruto walked up to Rias, who was building the portal, and stood to her right. "So I think I got a cool familiar, don't you?" asked Naruto as he used some earth release to create something for him to lean on, along with a small stand for Kurama to lay on, something which Rias ignored completely as she turned her head towards him slightly. "I don't know why I'm surprised anymore when it comes with you. What's worse is the fact that I could have had you truly in my peerage when I met both you and Issei dying," muttered Rias as she looked towards her peerage once more, who were still in shock. Naruto simply grinned evilly. Oh ho! Is the devil goddess Rias upset that she let the amazing, spectacular, handsome, godlike Naruto Uzumaki die? Asked Naruto with a grin as Rias simply sent him a blank look. Yes, replied Rias with a simple and bland tone, causing Naruto to be slightly surprised at the direct answer. Blinking, Naruto clicked his fingers slightly and made a silencing seal appear around both Rias and him. Seeing as how Rias's peerage was in shock, it didn't mean that they couldn't hear them. Whoa! What's with the blank serious tone? I was expecting a no, sorry I didn't revive you. I should have. Not a yes. That was so serious that I felt a shiver go up my spine, replied Naruto as he looked at Rias, who simply looked at him blankly once more. Well, what do you expect me to say? Oh yes, Naruto-sama, I am truly sorry. Please join my peerage and I will do anything you say. Oh please, Naruto-sama, spoke Rias in a sarcastic tone as she held her hands together to her chest. Naruto simply got a sweat drop to appear behind his head. Whoa, calm down for a sec, Rias. You don't have to go over dramatic to get your point across, but who would you think that if you said anything like that I would agree to it? Asked Naruto, looking towards Rias's blue/green eyes with curiosity. Rias rolled her eyes and crossed her arms under her, making them seem even larger than before. Oh, I don't know. How about the fact that when I had a choice to revive you I simply didn't take the chance as there was nothing special about you in particular during that time frame. Then the next day, guess what I see? Naruto, the Naruto who I know died, walking around with a stupid grin on his face, acting like he hadn't been killed the day before, spoke Rias, her brows furling together in slight apparent anger as she looked towards Naruto. But you know what was shocking about you not only walking around and all? You didn't have any energy to that of a devil, fallen or angel. Nothing. Just like when you died. And yet you, from Asia's words, were able to fight off 4 fallen angels, 100 exorcists, within the span of what? Like 20 minutes. And you came unscathed from it if what Asia said was true. And you know what happens a week after? You beat Riser Phoenix, the man I was going to be forced to marry if I couldn't either 1. Taint myself, or 2. Beat him, proving that he isn't worthy of marrying me. Rias was now looking at Naruto with pure rage and anger, not directed at Naruto though, but towards herself.